Okay. We're going to call this closed session today at 5:30 p.m. on December 18th. Meeting called to order. Councilmember Johnson will not be in attendance due to illness, and he has requested to be permitted to participate remotely. Ms. Attorney, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, there is a contagious illness involved in Mr. Johnson's inability to attend personally today. That is a justifiable circumstance for him to participate remotely under the terms of the Brown Act. It does require that you vote to permit him to do so. So you need a motion, a second, and a vote.
May I have a motion?
I so move.
Second. Roll call, please. Vote.
And I'll do a roll call vote.
A roll call.
Councilmember Crosby?
Yes.
Councilmember Cashel-Fagita?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau?
Yes.
Mayor Hepburn?
Yes, I love you more, Steve.
Thank you. That was approved 4-0. I don't know if I need to take Councilman Johnson's vote.
He's on now. With that, we need to do a roll call. City Attorney?
We
already did that, actually. So
basically, everybody's for the record, everybody is in attendance now with Mr. Johnson appearing remotely.
City Council meeting closed session for the following. Shall I read it?
I can do it if you'd like.
City Attorney, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have conference with legal counsel existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, two cases. The first is City of Whittier et al. Versus Los Angeles Superior Court et al. Los Angeles County Superior Court case number 23STCP03579. And California Pistol and Rifle Association, Inc. et al. Versus Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department et al. United States District Court for the Central District of California, case number 2:23-CV-10169-SPG-ADSX. And then we have public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B1, title City Manager. I do not expect any report out.
That was my next question. Thank you, City Attorney. So we will recess into closed session and reconvene at 6:30 p.m. at our regular meeting. I got it right once. I'm retired.
We'll close this one out, gentlemen, and we'll see you in the conference room.
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody tonight? Happy holidays. Merry Christmas almost. We got 1 week from today.
1 week.
Oh, that was a wow.
All right. Yay!
Gotcha. Well, welcome, everybody. We're really excited for tonight's meeting. We've got some wonderful things to do, and I will remind everyone, we're going to call the meeting to order tonight at 6:35 p.m. on Monday, December 18th. Hit that once. I want to remind everyone that per the city's rules of decorum, all speakers, members of the audience, and council members are to conduct themselves with decorum and not to engage in conduct that interrupts the orderly conduct of the city council meeting. Also, public comment through Zoom will not be allowed until further notice. Public comments will be accepted at the meeting by those physically in attendance at the appropriate time. Attorney Barlow, we have an issue we have to address with Councilmember Johnson being remote due to an illness.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Earlier, before the closed session, the council was asked to vote to allow Councilmember Johnson to participate remotely due to a contagious illness, so that he has made that request. He is here with us remotely. That motion was approved prior to the closed session, so we won't be doing it again. I do need to ask you, Mr. Johnson, is there anybody in the room with you?
No, there is not.
All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're ready to go.
Thank you very much. Tonight, we're very pleased to have once again one of our proud veterans, Philip Ramirez, commander of the Band of Brothers 12034, U.S. Army Specialist 5E5, will conduct the Pledge of Allegiance for us tonight. Mr. Ramirez, please come forward.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Before we start, I would like to have all active military, veterans, law enforcement, first responders render a hand salute. All others, place your right hand over your heart. Let's begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Mr. Ramirez, if you could stand for a minute.
Specialist Ramirez, it's always good to see you, brother. It's always good to see you. You know, I really, my family, the city appreciates all that you've done. And the band of brothers, that the continuous help that they've done to our community here has not gotten forgotten. Never. And I really appreciate that so much. A little bit more. Just something more for me, I wanted to tell you. I really appreciate you, brother. I've seen what you guys have done. You're in command leadership right now. Veterans Foreign Wars, Post 12034. Here for a very long time, look forward for many, many, many years. I've seen the medals on your chest with Korea. I know that. I wasn't there. I wasn't there. I moisturized a lot. I'm still young. But I know the sacrifice. I know the sacrifice that was there. And you continue to provide service for our country, for all the band of brothers. So the City of Laverne Certificate of Recognition presented to Philip Ramirez. The certificate is presented on behalf of the Laverne City Council to U.S. Army Specialist Philip Ramirez with sincere gratitude and appreciation for your dedicated service to our country. God bless you, sir. God bless your family. Army strong.
Thank you. Everything you guys supported.
Absolutely. And for all the veterans out there, for all your veterans out there, if you get the chance and the opportunity, please look at our post of VFW Post 12034 and come join and become a member. It's right here on Bonita and Wheeler on the southeast corner. Oh,
Thank you.
all right.
Thank you, Commander. Mr. Reynolds, roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Johnson,
Here?
Councilmember Crosby,
Here.
Councilmember Castro-Figuita,
Here, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau, Mayor Hepburn.
Present.
All
Thank-
members are present.
Thank you, Jer. Tonight we have three presentations. First, we were honored to have the 19th president of ULV, Dr. Pardis Mahdavi, with us, after which we will honor longtime employee Lupa Gaeta Estrella on her retirement and hear from the fire department on the strategic plan. Ms. Mahdavi, please come to the mic. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and good evening, esteemed Mayor Hepburn, honorable council members, and community members. Thank you so much for this beautiful, warm welcome. My name is Pardis Mahdavi, and I am indeed the 19th president of the University of Laverne, a post which I am honored and humbled to have been taken since August. Since my arrival to the university, I've dedicated myself to listening, learning, and engaging with the university and the wonderful community stakeholders here at Laverne. The University of Laverne holds a special place in my heart because it is an institution that proudly upholds the mission of higher education, which in my view is the absolute cornerstone and bedrock of upholding a vibrant democracy. Our commitment to social transformation and upholding democracy is evident in our core values of lifelong learning, ethical reasoning, civic and community engagement, and diversity and inclusivity. These values unite all of our students, but also all of our stakeholders, all of our communities, and they enable us to create lasting impacts that reach far beyond the campus. And you'll see that in all the communities in which the University of La Verne is. I like to say our distinguishing factor is we train students who go out and give back to their communities and transform the communities around them. So I could not be more proud to be leading this institution. Our collective impact at the University of La Verne is felt in countless communities, companies, corporations, and nonprofit institutions, thanks to our more than 89,000 alumni who have been prepared to enter and transform their communities. And I know many of our alumni sit on the council and are here with us this evening.
Does it count if you paid tuition for your child?
We'll let that count. But Mayor Hepburn, it's never too late to come back.
Oh, thank you so
and
much.
get another degree.
Let me add that to
University
my
of
plate.
Laverne. Yes, I think that we should.
I think
recruit
coffee's
Mayor
probably
Hepburn.
easier for me right now.
Well, we might be offering a certificate in, entrepreneurial.
I wore the robes, but that
coffee
means
management.
nothing.
We'll see what we can do for
Thank you.
And as many of you know, we've been very humbled lately. We are having a moment in the sun, if you will. Our university has been recognized as the top private university in California for social mobility, ranking 6th amongst all universities in the state, according to U.S. News and World Report's 2024 National University Rankings. And you also probably saw that the Wall Street Journal ranked us 33rd in the country because the Wall Street Journal has implemented a new ranking system wherein things like workforce preparedness and social mobility are a central component of the ranking system. From digital media and business to health administration and law, our students are equipped and inspired to meet both international, regional, and local challenges and demands. With distinguished faculty who are experts and practitioners in their fields and outstanding staff support, our students have many opportunities to be curious about the world and provide services while upholding access and excellence in all that they do. I like to say at the University of La Verne, we embrace the access and excellence, theory and practice, breadth and depth. We are unique in that embrace of both. In that, we are undoubtedly the model for what higher education needs to look like in the 21st century. So I'm proud to share just a few recent highlights from our university community. Last month, we celebrated National First Generation Day, where we demonstrated our commitment to inclusion by recognizing and supporting the unique experiences of those who are the first in their families to attend college. This celebration reflects our ongoing commitment to creating a welcoming and supportive environment for all of our graduate students. In November, the university community gathered to honor Veterans Day, paying tribute to the students, faculty, staff, and others who have served in the military or are connected to the military. This event underscores our recognition of the sacrifices made by those who have and continue to serve our country. Furthermore, in a commendable initiative, the University of La Verne has partnered with the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health for the Heart for Heroes campaign. Through this collaboration, hands-on CPR training is being provided to the campus as well as the local community, equipping individuals with life-saving skills. The University of La Verne is not only an institution of academic excellence, but also a force for positive change in the community and in the world. As we continue our commitment to access, excellence, and social transformation, I encourage the City Council and the entire community to continue to support and collaborate with the university in our endeavors to uplift and educate this next generation of leaders. Thank you all so much for your time and attention. I am thrilled, humbled, and honored to be a part of the bright future of this remarkable institution and I look forward to working in thought partnership with each and every one of you to uphold the mission, vision, and values of this beautiful city that we get to call home. Thank you.
Thank you, President Mondavi. Okay, here we go. You ready? Our second presentation is recognition of Assistant City Clerk Gaeta Estrella after more than 43 years of dedicated and heartfelt service to the city of Laverne. Assistant City Clerk Lupe Gaeta Estrella will be retiring in January. Ms. Gaeta Estrella is a lifetime Laverne resident and throughout her career has embodied the small town values and charm that the community is known for. Her genuine desire to serve others and ability to light up a room will definitely be missed in City Hall. The City Council will be honoring Ms. Gaeta Estrella and presenting her with a proclamation. Juana? How are you? You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
You want to go now or what? Can you wait for another few days? Has it been that bad? Please, come on, say it's not been bad.
No, it's
44 years. Man, amazing. Commendation. Whereas Lupe Records requests Gaeta Estrella was raised in Laverne and first began working for the city as clerk typist through the Comprehensive Employment and Training Act in 1979. And whereas after a successful petition, Lupe was hired full-time in 1980, going on to perform in several capacities, including Administrative Services Tech, Administrative Services Clerk 1, Administrative Clerk 2, Administrative Secretary, Deputy City Clerk, Assistant to the City Clerk, Assistant City Clerk, and Acting City Clerk, Mechanic, Fire Mechanic, Fire... What haven't you done? Whereas the Office of the City Clerk is a service department within the municipal government upon which the City Council, all city departments, and the general public rely on information regarding the operations and legislative history of the city, and Lupe has properly executed these duties for nearly 45 years. And whereas during her career, Lupe spent fruitful time working under Kathleen Ham and also archived 7 city managers, George Caswell, Perry Beck, Bill Sheldon, Marty Lamelli, Bob Russey, interim city manager Jess Duff, and Ken Domer, while directly or indirectly overseeing more than 20 elections. 20, jeez. Whereas through these elections, Lupe always received a vote of confidence by assisting 23 different council members and 4 mayors, including Frank Johnson, John Blickenstaff, Don Kendrick, and now Tim Hepburn. And whereas Lupe's career with the city of Laverne has a referendum of love and family transcending from traditional employer relationship, impressively, she has devoted over 2/3 of her life to helping our community while making it a family affair with postings from sons Gilbert Jr. and Sean, sister Amelia, and brothers John and Eddie also working for the city. Now, therefore, I, Tim Hepburn, Mayor of the City of Laverne, on behalf of the City Council, commend Lupe Gaeta Estrella for her exemplary service to our community. Thank you for your ability to agendize fun with the dedication as well as being able to skillfully recall city history. May you enjoy countless minutes of gratifying retirement. Dated this day, December 18th, 2023. Yes. Congratulations. Oh, you're going to speak.
There you go.
It's been a long and wonderful journey, and I'm very appreciative for the opportunity to work for the city of Laverne and all the wonderful council and past mayors and city managers. It's been a joy. I mean, I thank the city of Laverne because thanks to them, I've been able to raise my 2 boys, Gilbert and Sean, here in Laverne. And that I would all be appreciative. And I've worked with wonderful supervisors and friends that are here, longtime friends, and that I've made over the years. So thank you all for being here. Okay?
Well, it might take us all night, but we got all night. You introduce your family, because I think everybody's here.
Okay, I think they are. First of all, this is my granddaughter, Zoe.
Hi, Zoe.
She's my anchor. I told her, you got to come up with me. I have my future son-in-law, Frank Medea.
Hey, Frank.
My beautiful daughter, Tony Estrella. My husband, Gilbert Estrella.
Down there.
My brother, Manuel Galleta, Eddie Galleta, Lisa Gata, Karina, and Noah. Noah! My sister, Rachel. My sister, Amelia. Come on over.
Come on up here. Yeah.
Yeah, and my brother John, former city of Gata. And my niece Arlene, my grandson Zachary,
We're halfway through.
sister-in-law Maricel, my son Sean, my grandson Joseph, and my son Gilbert Jr. Go back there.
Congratulations. I think we should we have more certificates, but I'd like to see the whole family up here, and then we can give you the certificates. Why don't you guys all come up for a picture? Come on. Come on. Come on. You got it? You got it? What do you want to do? Okay. And then we'll do these. Jeff's here. I'll do Jeff. And then Jeff, and then Leah. Is Leah here? Okay. And then we'll just give them her. We don't want to do each one.
Well, I would make mention, because this was like
Okay.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Okay. Get over there. Well, you're going to give it to her. Yeah, you're going to give it to her. Leah's going to give it to her. Yeah, absolutely. It's live.
Okay, everybody. Eyes this way.
this is kind of the big
This is a lot better than the volleyball team where I couldn't.
They were way taller.
They were taller.
Oh, I have been part of the family. No question about it.
Watch them here.
One more time.
All right, Mark. Come on, Mark.
You didn't get that picture.
Pictures.
We have a few more certificates, Lupe. We have 3 Valleys Municipal Water. Jeff Hanlon wants to give you a certificate. Jeff, come on up. Where you are, Jeff? There you go. Leah, you're next.
Congratulations on your retirement.
Oh, thank you.
Enjoy. And here's our certificate for you.
Oh, thank you.
Smile. I love it. They're so shy. just like Mom. Leah, Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, Leah. Been 7 fabulous years working with you, and you will truly be missed. And I do have a certificate of recognition from the Laverne Chamber of Commerce in grateful recognition and appreciation for your dedication, leadership, and immeasurable contributions as the Assistant City Clerk in Laverne since July of 1980. Lupe has been a beacon of excellence, setting high standards and demonstrating an unparalleled work ethic that has left an indelible mark on our community. Presented with heartfelt thanks and best wishes on your well-deserved retirement. Thank you. We'll have to go out for coffee sometime. Oh, I love that. I think you're going to have wallpaper after tonight.
Thank you, Leah. We also have some other certificates from U.S. Congresswoman Grace Napolitano, which is a beautiful one, too. We have Senator Susan Rubio. Come on, show us off. There you go. Yes. Then we have Senator Anthony Portantino. We do have 2 senators, by the way, for a while, not very long. And then also for our last one, which is probably the most beautiful, is Supervisor Catherine Barger. If we could turn that around. They do this by hand. They're beautiful. Oh, well, we have a couple other things when you're done with your pictures there. You get it? We have a gift. First of all, we have a gift from the city of Laverne, which will hopefully get you to Hawaii. So congratulations on behalf of the city. And can't go without your street sign. That doesn't mean you don't get tickets if you speed. Remember that. Oh, I love that thing. That's cute. I think we're good. Got it? Got it. I think we have some people in the audience that would like to say a few words. You have one more thing. Yes, sir.
Oh, you want to do that?
What were we doing? Oh, should I do that now? Why don't we do that
After? Okay.
Yeah. We're going to put the podium here. If you guys have some words to say to Lupe, I think that there's a few in the crowd here. So if you guys want to sit down with your awards, but Lupe, make yourself comfortable. We practice this. It's actually a roast now, so... Yeah, should I go down there with the resolution or stay here? Stay here. Do it on the dais? We'll do that after they talk. Yeah.
There you go.
Hi, Loopy. Hi. Loopy, I wanted to say to you, I had to be here tonight, but I wanted to say to you, thank you so much for serving our community for 43 years. And somebody yelled out 44, so what is it? 44? Okay. Okay. But I've always felt that city employees are serving our community, and us as residents appreciate that. It cannot happen without the dedication that the employees have, and you have always showed that to everybody. And you have a smile, and you welcome everybody that comes into City Hall. So I thank you for that, but especially for our friendship. And it will continue. As I told you, you might be ending your work career, but now life just starts. Many people know retirement is awesome, and you get to do what you want.
I wouldn't know that yet, but okay.
So I wish you all the best, and know that you're appreciated by this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Anybody else wish to speak? Anyone else wish to speak? Mr. Rosales.
Having followed Robin for 9 years and the speeches she makes in our introduction, I have much to say. So I just want to say to Lupe, thank you so much for being my secretary for 9 years. Thank you for putting up with me. And when I first got here, I didn't know where anything was at. And I asked where a particular office was, and I went the wrong way and said, not that way, pendejo.
Well, your family.
But she said it was caring. Lupe, I'm going to miss you terribly. Yeah, but that's really, well, not that way.
After 9 times, Charlie, come on. Seriously.
In any event, Lupe, enjoy your retirement. You deserve everything they give you. And please stay in touch.
Thank you, Charlie. Mr. Russi.
Hello, all.
Already?
Well, Lupe, I had worked with you for 21 years, which amazingly is less than half the amount of time you were with the city. From my first day, I knew you were going to make every day memorable. And you lived up to that from that point on. So, yeah, well. But you were always a great support, avid fan, and a wonderful person to work, laugh with. And I do appreciate the time we have worked together, and it's a pleasure to be here and honor you. And it's about time. So congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else? Wait, I'm going to institute the 3-minute time rule. Not that you're winded or anything, but clock starts now.
The reason this shirt is on and the reason that I got up here, we go back a long way. I started in 78. You came in 79. Christmas shows up, and Lupe and I went down to pick up their first TV and take it to the Gaeta house. And that was, I'll never forget that. Never forget it. And then our work habits here, we've had our ups, we've had our downs. But I'll tell you, you've always been there. And you did a great job. Like I said, we all have our ups and downs. And I look over here to this whole half of the room of all the Gaetas that are over here. And with John, you got all of these. Well, I won't even get into all of you. They're all there for you. They've been there for you. I remember when your mom and dad was there for you. And it's just so many memories that I can go back and talk about. But I want to wish you the best, and I hope you guys get to do the things you want to do. It's just like me, I'm working on my bucket list. Start thinking about that. Put your bucket list together and do it. Do it with your grandkids. Do it with your family. Whatever it is you want to do, do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Brian, that's the shortest speech you've ever made. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Thank you. Anyone else? You were perfect. Perfect. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, with that. Oh, there you go. Huh? Absolutely. Before wrapping up our celebration of Lupe, I've been made aware that an item that requires City Council action needs to be added to the agenda. Is that correct, City Attorney Hall Barlow?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, because we need to take action before the next regular council meeting on this item, I am asking you to bring on an item to consider a resolution of the City Council, City of Laverne, County of Los Angeles, State of California, naming Lupe Gaeta Estrella City Clerk of the City of Laverne through January 11th, 2024. And I do need a unanimous vote to do that.
Would you like us to read it first? Or you
Yeah,
don't
could
need
we
to?
have I need a motion and a second.
I need a motion.
I so move to make Lupe
to bring it on the agenda.
To bring on the agenda, Lupe Gaeta, the Laverne City Clerk.
Second?
Second.
We need a hand vote?
Yes, we need to have
Just a verbal
roll
vote.
call vote.
Roll call.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Johnson.
Oh, Mr. Johnson.
I approve.
Councilmember.
Where am I looking?
Councilmember Crosby.
Yes.
Councilmember Cashel-Fagita.
Yes, all the way.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau.
Yes.
Mayor Hepburn.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mayor, that was approved 5-0.
So I shall read the resolution? Yes. I have it right here. I got it. Whereas Lupe Estrella was raised in Laverne and first began working for the city as a city clerk typist through the Comprehensive Employment and Training Act of 1979. Whereas Ms. Gaeta Estrella was hired full-time in 1980, going on to perform in several capacities for the office of the city clerk, including Administrative Services Tech, Administrative Clerk 1, Administrative Clerk 2, Administrative Secretary, Deputy City Clerk, Assistant to the City Clerk, Assistant City Clerk, and Acting City Clerk. I guess clerk. Whereas the office of the city clerk is a service department within municipal government upon which the city council, all city departments, and the general public rely for information regarding the operations and legislative history of the city. And Mrs. Gaeta Estrella has performed these duties honorably for nearly 45 years. And whereas the city council would like to honor Ms. Gaeta Estrella for her many wonderful years of service to the community and contribution to the office of the city clerk. Now, therefore, be it resolved that by the City Council of the City of Laverne as follows. Section 1. Lupe Gaeta Estrella will be named as the City Clerk of the City of Laverne effective December 18th, 2023 through January 11th, 2024. The mayor shall sign and the deputy clerk shall certify the passage and adoption of the resolution, and thereupon the same shall take effect and be enforced. Passed, approved, and well, not yet. Give us a minute. There. Then again, we need a motion.
I so move. I'll second that.
Roll call.
Councilmember Johnson.
I approve.
Councilmember Crosby.
Yes.
Councilmember Cashel-Fagita.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau.
Yes.
Mayor Hepburn.
Absolutely, yes.
That was
Congratulations.
approved 5-0.
Before everybody leaves, the council would like to say a few words, if you don't mind, so you could have a seat for just a minute. Won't be more than an hour. Councilmember Crosby.
Yes, I just want to say, Lupe, thank you so much. You're always the first person that I see when coming in, and always a smile, and your phone calls, and my family thanks you for always treating everybody so nice from the city. Thank you so much for everything you've done. Understand that retirement sometimes is a step to move, but I hear it's really worth all of it too, though. So enjoy yourself, enjoy your great family. We should have you retire every time. Look at how packed our house gets. Thank you so much for everything you've done for 44 years here in Laverne.
Thank you, Councilmember Crosby. Councilmember Cash.
Mrs. Estrella has always come in, and I always see that beautiful smile on your face. It always warms my heart to see at least somebody likes me when I come in here. But you will be missed, but not forgotten. I know where you live. I'm gonna come not too far. I always get that warm smile and the kind words, and you're my amiga. Claro que sí, para siempre, señora.
At least you're not what they called Charlie.
No English. But congratulations. Job well done. You know, I came here, I remember in the 5th grade, I sat right here with Mr. Bailey's class from Roynan, and all I can remember just being here back in 1985, and you were championing the way for 6 years since then. And it's amazing how just time flies. But congratulations, senora. May God bless you with many, many more years. Many more years, and just stay healthy and strong. And you always have a friend in us.
Thank you, Councilmember Cash. Councilmember Johnson.
Loopy, you're such a special person. You're so loved by the Johnsons. My father spoke very highly of you when I first was elected. I wish I could be there in person tonight. I'm so sorry that I can't be there for you, but you are loved by us, and I consider you a very special friend. Congratulations.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Mayor Pro Tem Lau.
Lupe. Hi. I am just so impressed by the years of dedication and commitment that in which you've served this city. You know, and I don't know how many people know that we were so blessed to have someone who is a resident, who understands the community, and who has served through decades of, turmoil and challenges, but ups and downs, like, was said, celebrations, new traditions. You've seen it all. And so I always know when I want to know a little bit about history, you're one of the people that I absolutely go to for that information. And I am going to really miss seeing your face on Monday nights coming in. But I am excited for this next chapter of your life. Have so much fun. Enjoy yourself, because you definitely, definitely deserve it. And we are so appreciative for everything that you've done for us.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Lau. For me, let's see, politics. Planning Commission, 2012, I think, when I came on. As Charlie said, I didn't know anything. We didn't know where anything was. We didn't know how it flowed. The boss over here put us in our place and told us what to do. And as Councilmember Johnson and all have stated, I truly do love you. You've been amazing for us. You've helped us with the elections. No matter what turmoil was going on, we always had that path. We got things taken care of. If there was a mistake, you got a hold of us. We took care of business. You kept the ducks in a row. And you will be absolutely missed, but not forgotten, because I know where you live. And I expect dinner like once a month, maybe, something like that. But no, you've been a blessing to this community, and this is why Laverne is what it is because a lot of love's around here. So, yes. So, bless you. Have a good time in Hawaii, and watch the Mai Tais. They really kick it. But anyway, again, on behalf of us, your service is just incredible to this community and to our city and to all those elected officials in the past and present that we're just so lucky to have you here. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, family, you guys can go now. We're going to give 5 minutes, like a 3-minute break. You guys can go now because you really don't want to sit through this. Yeah.
Can we stick around? Can we have an employee and retiree over here? It's not fun.
We're supposed to get up here and get a picture. Well, maybe not. Good. You too. What you gonna do? Well, I'm not an employee. Is that all retirees too? Come on, Adela. Adela. Go in there. Training it in. Go in there, Adela. I can't squeeze it. I can't squeeze it in.
Get in there. Get in there, John.
Can you get down on one knee, John? Okay, one more time. Eyes over here.
I don't know if that too. I'm surprised Zoe can do all this. I like him. I think it's good.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. My tears in my
I've been veteran for a long time. You gotta get the knees
Yeah, if I have to,
I don't, you don't, it's fine.
I'll be fine.
Okay, everybody, we're going to start the meeting back up. Not kicking you out, but I'm kicking you out. Lupe, thank you guys. Thank you, family. Merry Christmas, guys. George, one more. I should put George ahead of the fire chief, but I got to get the fire chief done. Yeah, poor guys. It'll be 4 hours. Don't worry about it, George. We're going to go ahead and reconvene the meeting at 7:28 p.m. Our next presentation is the LVFD Strategic Plan. This presentation will offer this council and Laverne community an overview of the 2022 Community Risk Analysis findings. And Chief Nig, you have the floor, sir.
Wonderful. I was just kind of commenting that I picked not a good night to present and follow all of that celebratory excitement and everything, but nonetheless down to business here. So good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council. I'm excited to stand before you tonight with another exciting milestone in the ongoing revitalization of our proud fire department. As any great organization should, LVFD recently sought to better understand our internal long-term desires, define our weaknesses, solicit the community's expectations, and compare such to the city's greater needs. The result of those efforts afforded us the opportunity to prioritize, strategize, and ultimately create the functional roadmap for our next 5 years. This roadmap is better known as our strategic plan. The purpose of tonight's presentation is not only the continuity of the promise I made to you 2.5 years ago, but to inform you of the progress of your fire department and also inform you of LVFD's commitment to perpetual professionalism and excellence. I will be providing a high-level overview of the process and the plan's key points tonight. However, the entirety of our strategic plan can be found on our website beginning tomorrow for anyone's consumption. There we go. All right, I'd like to highlight the collaborative effort that took place throughout this process. It would have been very easy for LVFD to simply come together and create what worked best for us without much context. However, we recognize that first and foremost, we serve a community population who live, work in, and visit our city every day. We also serve other external stakeholders who are reliant upon our ability to be equitable and effective. Finally, we are a part of a much larger team that makes up the entirety of Laverne's workforce. It was imperative for all those voices to be heard and considered in this process. As such, we'd like to thank City Manager Ken Domer, Assistant City Manager J.R. Rennells, Acting Police Chief Sam Gonzalez, Finance Director Christy Lopez, Public Works Director Meg McQuaid, and Community Development Director Eric Shear for taking 2 full days out of their busy schedule to have a voice in and take an active role in our strategic planning workshop. The broad scope perspective allowed for a pragmatic and inclusive evaluation of whether or not our goals would be SMART, meaning specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. My appointment in late 2021 tasked me with the daunting challenge of transforming a struggling fire department on the brink of extinction. My promise to City Council was to implement a methodology which included analyzing inefficiencies, capturing lost revenue, considering an innovative and modern deployment model, strengthening relationships with area partners, and heeding the data-driven standards of cover and community risk analysis results. I have always stated that the finality of this multi-year challenge would culminate in a new strategic plan, thereby ensuring that LVFD remains a high-performing, relevant, and culturally sound organization. Our new strategic plan is a customer-focused strategy that builds upon the 2022 Standards of Cover and Community Risk Analysis. In that study, we were able to capture quantitative data that provided a risk profile and evaluated our ability to meet the challenges of that risk profile. With that insight, the overarching intent of this plan is to address contemporary issues facing the organization, thereby focusing the agency and its members on the essential activities which must occur in sequence to be achieved efficiently. After seeking input from the community and all identified stakeholders via digital survey, LVFD convened a committee comprised of fire department, administrative, and floor personnel and city executive staff. The committee then reviewed the qualitative results and set forth to identify, prioritize, and divide tasks into smaller components for ease of implementation. Leading into that process, it was clear to us that the community we serve had very specific desires of us as their public safety professionals. As you can see there, under the external stakeholder priorities, in the order of their priority, the community demanded these priorities in this order. 1, for us to be highly trained. Number 2, to be prompt in our arrival to any emergency responses. To be friendly, courteous, and professional in our responses and our duties, to be flexible and adaptable, and to be involved in the local community. Conversely, it was even more important to identify our internal factors which influence our ability to serve the community most effectively. Additionally, how those aforementioned external factors coincide with our internal factors. We do this by performing a SWOT analysis, otherwise better known as an evaluation of our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Generally speaking, strengths and weaknesses are considered factors within control of the organization, while opportunities and challenges are considered to be factors that are outside of the organization, yet can be addressed through improved communications and processes. The results of that analysis are as follows. The strengths identified internally in Laverne Fire now, since I've been here, are the leadership, our new automatic and mutual aid agreements with our surrounding partners, and the internal camaraderie. Weaknesses is our succession planning, which we are currently working on right now through position task books, et cetera. A training tower, which frankly we've been void of in the entire history of Laverne Fire, and we're working on very diligently right now. And then a continuity of operations plan, which holistically means our policies and continuity of the department. The opportunities externally that we've identified are taking advantage of regional training, a broad scope culture shift, an internal mentorship program, and then a broad scope health and wellness program. And then finally, the threats that could potentially threaten the long-term enhancement of Laverne Fire are the global economy, our gold line system, and everything that comes along with that into our community, and then ultimately the recruitment and retention that's plaguing, frankly, the entire workforce, but certainly fire departments all throughout the area. Now that we were equipped with all the data necessary to forge our new path forward, it was imperative that we first establish a new and relevant set of core principles to guide our fundamental philosophies. As such, LVFD has established its first true to self, member-derived mission, vision, and values. A mission statement should clearly define the major services that are provided to the community. As such, Laverne Fire's new mission statement is, as a highly professional organization, we serve the current and emerging needs of those who live, work, and visit our community. We are committed to responsibly safeguarding lives, property, and the environment through industry-leading emergency response and community engagement. This will be painted and live on all of our fire stations for our members to see every day shortly. And in addition to who we are, it is important to define what we expect to be in the future. Our future vision is that we will be a regionally recognized as a progressive, innovative, and dynamic organization which strive for excellence in all aspects of emergency response through collaboration with our community and surrounding agencies. Finally, our values define what we as an agency consider guiding principles in order to define our culture and belief systems. Our new values are as follows. Integrity. We value integrity in relation to each other and those we serve, always adhering to a sound code of moral and ethical conduct. Accountability. We value accountability by taking personal responsibility for our decisions and actions while holding ourselves to a higher standard. Teamwork. We value teamwork as we utilize the collective talents of everyone and embrace collaboration to achieve our common goal. Compassion. We value compassion for each person as an individual, an attitude that recognizes the worth of others and exhibits respect for all. And finally, professionalism. We value professionalism as it is the culmination of integrity, accountability, compassion, and teamwork. With those guiding principles positively affirmed, we were then prepared to finalize our realistic goals and specific objectives to support the completion of those goals. In turn, we have a clear direction, structure, and guidance. Goal number 1, develop a continuity of operations plan by completing a comprehensive review of all of our policies, procedures, and SOGs, creating SOGs for operational continuity, improve operational continuity within the command staff, the leadership, identify essential functions of LVFD, improve agency continuity within our community, and create a disaster disruption plan for LVFD to ensure that there is that continuity there. Second, identify alternative response models, explore technology advancements that can improve and augment emergency response, analyze alternative response models utilized by other fire departments and by how they can be implemented at LVFD, and utilize data analysis and performance metrics to identify areas of improvement in LVFD's emergency responses as we continue to grow as a city. Implement a comprehensive health and wellness program. Identify a health program, mental health program, peer support programs, costs and funding for all of those, and present those internally. Our members will present those to our personnel and then ultimately to administration for approval. 4, create and implement a succession planning program. Identify ranks requiring succession, implement acting qualifications, create rank-specific task books, create position guides, create a policy to develop and implement pre-promotional exam academies, and identify relevant external resources available to our personnel to help with that. 5, develop a comprehensive training program, implement an annual training calendar, identify technical standards, identify training partnerships, provide annual refresher training that we're missing, determine and monitor training readiness performance, and obtain some type of training infrastructure for the first time in our 112-year history. And finally, goal 6, develop a comprehensive preventative enforcement plan to address our WUI threat, wildland-urban interface threat, and implement reoccurring broad community risk reduction practices. Develop and implement annual wildland inspection program, identify and mitigate annually threatening heavy fuel loads, develop recurring public engagement programs, make sure we're hitting 100% of all of our business and state-mandated inspections, implement a sustainable professional fire investigation program, which we've never had, complete a community risk reduction plan, and collaborate with relevant partners in the area. With formal adoption, our new plan will be divided among our own members, resulting in ownership and absence of distraction. Administratively, it will be my duty to ensure budgeting and political policy remain in alignment with the goals set within. Thus, I bring this plan forward to you tonight to provide full transparency and candid preemption. With that, I would like to conclude by stating that an organizational strategic plan is only as good as the effort and commitment thereafter. Throughout this process, I was exceptionally vocal about not creating a plan simply to check a box. Everything we created here is intended to be our true north over the next 5 years. It is my true desire to you, as the policymakers of our exemplary city, that you understand and support this plan in its entirety so the men and women of LVFD can continue to provide the utmost high-performing, life-saving services possible. With that, I look forward to any questions or comments you may have.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. Council, any questions for Chief?
No questions or comment. 2023 we are right now. 2021 is when we brought you on. Thank you for all your service. Thank you for what you've done for the fire department. This plan right here is extensive. I remember I think it was your 90-day plan. We said about time, but you weren't doing anything. It still says right now, 2 years later, of how much you've done and changed not only the morale of our Laverne Fire Department, but the safety for all of our residents. So thank you for all you've done and your team. And the addition of the ambulance operators, the addition of our fire marshal, and many other additions that's happened. It's only enhanced the program. So thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crosby. Councilmember Cash.
To also include our community risk management, our fire explorers, and what you just said, not just to check a box, but to actually implement a due north sign. And I appreciate that. And camaraderie to me means a whole lot, because when our staff are happy, when our folks are happy, citizens are happy. That's how I see it. And I appreciate you, but you're doing a job that we hired, and I'm very glad that we hired you for. Very glad that we hired you for a true leader. True leader. You know what I mean? And there's many, as these kids are seeing you, I just call them kids because I'm getting a little older, but the explorers see what can be done through the succession planning. Eventually we'll get there with that. And to me, that means a lot. Continue to stay strong, Chief. Thank you.
Councilmember Cash. Councilmember Johnson.
Chief, thank you. Thank you for all you've done. This is a great strategic plan. I appreciate what the firefighters have done for my family personally. It's just an honor to have you serving us and leading this department. I just want to say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Mayor Pro Tem Lau.
Thank you. Chief Nig, when you first came on, we talked about the difficult or challenging road that was going to be ahead of you, given some of our history, in the city and with the fire department. And I think one of the, two of the things that you said was about bringing people together and creating that sense of community within the fire department, but also bridging those gaps that may have been widened in some places, and really getting that sense of pride back in the department. And I think you've accomplished that. And I think putting the second thing was a blueprint of where we've been and where we're going to go. And I think that's so important to be hand in hand, that you've created a culture where people are trusting each other again, want to work with each other, are proud of the work that they're doing and of the community that they're working in, and that there is a clear path forward. So, thank you for doing that. You definitely delivered on what you said you were. So keep on keeping on. We're really glad to have you here. So thank you.
Thanks.
Kudos to all those comments. You've done an exemplary job as coming from the previous time when our fire department was, like you said, was in collapse. And it took a lot of meetings. It took management changes. It took new council. It took a lot of efforts, but it took you to have the vision to bring the fire department up to what our residents expect. And I think that's probably the most important thing. But my concern way back when was not just the safety of our residents, which is the most concern, but it's our employees. And you've made it an environment where our employees are even safer now, that a safer employee can be a great asset to protecting our residents. And I think that's important. We've placed machinery, we placed people in places. Our businesses are going to be safer. Yes, they complain about a fire inspection, but at the end of the day, those businesses are going to bring up to snuff as far as code compliance, so we don't have the fires, we don't have loss of lives, and that's the most important thing. So hopefully we stay on track with that, with risk reduction specialist, with our fire marshal, with our deputy fire chief, with Jen and all the people in your staff, the battalion chiefs and all the boots on the ground, and also with your affiliation with all of the other departments. I see us now as we're one moving machine, that when one moves, we all move, and I think that's extremely important. You've brought the relationships back and the respect back to the department, and I think that's something moving forward, and I really appreciate that. I know this is a lot of work, but the tasks are never done. No. You have to modify, and I want to say, I think besides all of those, I think one of the most important was our automatic aid agreement with Los Angeles County. That took you a long time to build those relationships that were destroyed, basically. And that is a testament, because we help them, they help us. And I think that's the most important thing. And you get a phone call to LA County, they're on us right now. Or they need a ladder truck, they need a quint, they need a regular fire truck or brush truck. We help them. And I think that's really important. So we really appreciate that. We want to make sure we stay on track with this, and that you can't leave us. So remember that. We don't want to blow your head up so much that someone's going to cherry pick you. So you came on to do this, but I think the most important thing too, another one is the succession planning. That's one of the things that we as a city have been working on now for some time, and I think the succession planning is almost as important as running the department, because you want that person that's gonna take your place eventually, that you want them to have that same drive and that same vision to continue what you've started. And I think that's really extremely important. And you've been doing that. And the people you've brought on are stellar, just stellar. So we thank you.
Yeah, and I would agree. And if I could just finish with, I was just telling at least my administrative staff the other night, I genuinely feel and believe we are firing on all cylinders in every shop: suppression, prevention, community risk reduction, administration. I'm just a facilitator at the end of the day. It is the team in its entirety. The Laverne firefighters, they're the boots on the ground actually out there doing this. They do a very, very good job. We have very talented people, and I hear that up and down the county, even up and down the state. I'm the vice president in the League of Cities, and I'm talking to people up and down the state, and we are definitely known out there. So I'm very thankful to be part of this city, to be your fire chief. I'm having a great time here. I'm not going anywhere. And
we're going to hold you to that.
Yeah, and I couldn't have done any of this without everybody sitting up there, even the Councilmember Muir and Councilwoman Carter, wherever she went. But again, I'm very thankful. Our auto aid is doing very well. That is a very dynamic situation. We will continue to monitor data and adjust accordingly, but it's working very well. And for those who don't know, we did have a fire start in the hills up here Friday night, and Station 3 was on it, first on scene, kept it in check, had it out in 15 minutes. So we had a whole contingency coming from LA County, but that relationship is extraordinary now. So good things are happening, and I'm just very, very fortunate to be surrounded by such good people at all levels, including my executive staff.
Well, I want to also say that it wouldn't happen without this council here and the management, but the council saw the problems, addressed the problems. Yeah, we fought about it, no question about it. But at the end of the day, we did the right thing and put you in place with the management, and that's where we are right now, and I really do appreciate it. And anything changes or whatever, you bring it back to us. We're so much further ahead now than we were before, so we really do appreciate that, and your staff has been stellar. So thank you.
And the point of this was just to inform, so you guys understand where we're headed over the next 5 years. And
it's not going to be implemented by January 1, 2024?
I'm tired. Yeah, no, I promise you.
More, Chief, more.
I would bring this to you, and here we are. So
thank you very much.
Sure.
Appreciate that. Right. Thank you. Announcements? We're going to now move to announcements of upcoming community events. Mr. May.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff, and Laverne residents. I'm going to be talking some of the events that are coming up this month and also next month. I just want to point out one thing. All the programs that I'm going to mention, they have limited attendance and they require advanced registration. So you can do that by going on-site to the library and talk to one of the staff and get signed up, or you can go to visit.lacounty.org/events and qualify to search by Laverne Library, and you can register online. So there's two ways to do it. Please do so, but just because the roster's already full, don't be afraid to put your name down, because oftentimes a certain percentage of the customers who sign up do not show up. There's usually spots available for those who are on the waiting list. So first thing is we are finishing up our current Smarty Pants Storytime session, which is ending on December 29th. The story times are held every Friday from 11 to 12. It's for ages 2 to 5 with parent and caregiver. The kids that show up will be enjoying books, songs, rhyme, motion activities, and also they'll be learning school readiness skills. So that ends December 29th. We're going to take a 2-week break, and then we'll resume another 6-week session after that. This week we have 2 programs, one an adult program and one teen program. On tomorrow, Tuesday, December 19th from 6 to 7, we are having a watercolor postcard. It is an adult program. Adults will be creating one-of-a-kind postcards with tissue paper, water, and brushes. So that's tomorrow, December 19th from 6 to 7. The other program for this week is a teen program for teens 13 through 17. It is on Thursday, December 21st from 4 to 5. It's called Weave Your Own Bookmark. The teens will be learning basic weaving techniques, and they'll be creating their own bookmark. They will also be learning about different cultures around the world that have unique weaving styles and patterns to display their histories and their identities. So that's from 4 to 5 tomorrow. Again, It's limited attendance, so advanced registration is required. And January, we have 3 children's programs. Again, limited attendance, advanced registration is required. The first one is on Friday, January 5th from 11 to 12. It's called Play and Explore. The children will be learning pre-literacy, social and motor skills with hands-on activities. There'll be different stations so they can go to explore and to play. It is for ages 1 through 5 with a parent or a caregiver. On Wednesday, January 10th from 5 to 6, we are having Artist Biography, Rizzi Meets Van Gogh. We're going to learn about the life and art of James Rizzi and Vincent Van Gogh, and the attendees will create their own piece of art inspired by those 2 artists. And that's for ages 6 through 12. And our last children's program for January is going to be on January 24th from 5 to 6. It is called Artist Biography, Chris Uphughes. Attendees will learn about the life and work of artist Chris Uphughes, and then they will create a work of art that's been inspired by his art. And that's for ages 6 through 12. So there's a lot of programs. There's something for everyone. And beyond these programs, please visit the library, because there's things you can do to improve your intellect, to improve your health, to improve your business, to improve your career. There's e-books, e-audiobooks. There's down streaming services. There are databases. If you want to work on your resume, there's resume services. You can create a resume. If you want to work on a book, write a book, there's information there how to do that. And of course, you can check out books. You can check out DVDs and CDs. So there's more to the library beyond the programs that I mentioned here on a monthly basis. So that's it. Please come on out, enjoy the library, learn, live, entertain yourself, enjoy yourself. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you, George. Appreciate it. As always, there's a ton of stuff going on there, so basically get your buns over there to the library. And do we post it on our website too? It's up on the website, so our website has it, and then also you can just go to LA County Library, Laverne branch, and you can pick that up there too. So very good. Thank you, George. Appreciate that. Sherry Best.
Well, happy holidays from the Laverne Historical Society. We are taking a rest between now and the second Monday in January, when we'll have our winter member and community meeting. But I wanted to report on last Saturday's vintage sale and home tour activity. The Laverne Historical Society realized almost $2,200 in donations, and we worked our tails off, and we earned it. And I'm very, very proud of us. We now are going to be able to start saving up to put a bed and a stake bed on the back of the truck, which is up and running and was parked in front of Inman Connidy's house for all people who toured the house to come out and find out more about the truck. Another highlight of the day on Saturday was a tour of the Veterans Hall and a discussion, and I would like to present a little history to the members of the City Council and others, which is the history of Laverne's American Legion Post 330 and the Veterans Memorial Laverne VFW Post 12034 Band of Brothers. So please accept this little historical overview of the Pride of Laverne at the Veterans Hall. Thank you so much.
And what about membership? Come on, Sherry.
Yes.
Come on.
And before I get on to membership, let me also say that our day was enhanced by collaboration with the Friends of the Laverne Library, who had a table with us, and also the woodworkers at Hillcrest. So because we're great believers in collaboration, we had that wonderful day together where all of us represented our community. Now, as far as membership is concerned, on Saturday, we picked up a life membership from a couple who are very interested in their home and finding out more about the history of their home. They came over and spoke with me. We also picked up a new membership of a couple who have recently moved to Hillcrest, because you're never too old to learn, and also a couple's renewing membership of a couple who used to live in Laverne and now live in Upland but come back for our activities. So I thought that was a pretty good score. Memberships are $20 for a one-person annual membership, $25 for a family membership, and $200 will get you a life membership. And I will talk to you endlessly to the end of your days if you're a life member. So there's another thing to look forward to with membership. Thank you so much.
You didn't say that when I got a life membership.
Oh, I'll never stop talking to you, Tim. Forever.
We like that, though. Congratulations. Thank you. Luke Melchissian.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Luke Melchissian. I'm a resident of Laverne, born and raised. On January 27th, we are hosting a human trafficking awareness walk, the Walk for Innocence, which I will talk more about in just a moment. Human trafficking is an exponentially growing plague in this nation, let alone the world. Unlike most detrimental problems in this nation, human trafficking cannot be ended through money or cures or treatments. The end of human trafficking comes from education and awareness. The way I look at it in terms of our event is if we have a 14-year-old boy or girl come to this event and learn about ways to avoid dangerous situations, that is a life saved. If we can maximize that on a global level, then we can end this thing together. Which leads to my next point, which with all due respect, I think Laverne, we just need to wake up. As I said, I'm born and raised, and I know that we are a community that is very safe and very tight-knit. But I hear a lot of comments about, oh, we don't need to worry about that. That bad stuff doesn't happen in Little Laverne. I personally know friends of mine who were almost trafficked just down the street at Target, exploited sexually online, and so much more. Just a few months ago in Pomona, about 2 miles from here, there were 7 men that were arrested in a sex trafficking prostitution ring. My focus in this fight is on the online sexual exploitation side of this. 1 in 6 children in the United States experience online sexual abuse. That is over 12 million kids. Last year, there was a story of a 17-year-old straight-A student, football quarterback. He was a golden child. He was chatting with who he thought was a 15-year-old girl, but ended up being 4 men from South Sudan. They got nude images of him and threatened to release them to his entire school unless he sent $3,000. Panicked and scared, he ended his life. From the first messages to the time of his death was less than 4 hours. This is happening in our communities, and we can either sit back and do nothing or get involved and take a stand before it's a bigger problem. It is better to be proactive than reactive, and I'd argue that we have a duty to protect our children. In Mark chapter 9, Jesus said, "It is better for a man to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and thrown into the sea than for him to cause our little ones to stumble." On January 27th, as I mentioned, we are hosting the Walk for Innocence, a community event centered around sex trafficking and child exploitation awareness. I am working in partnership with Innocence Rescue Mission. They are a new emerging faith-based organization working closely with local police departments. They provide funds for proper training and overpay, which will allow for more local departments to step in and provide needed support in situations of human trafficking instead of waiting on our state to jump in. This would save endless lives due to these quicker responses in these situations. The walk will take place at Bonita High School, going down D Street and back to Bonita. We will have the CEO there speaking, as well as a survivor sharing her story. Additionally, we are planning on having between 15 and 25 organizations tabling there to share areas of possible involvement, as well as food trucks and music to create a more lively atmosphere for families. Registration is completely free, and I have some cards if anyone would like to scan and sign up. I think Laverne and our foothill communities would greatly benefit from this. I'd love if you council members can support this event through promotion and sharing the word to this community and those surrounding. In this time of division, this really is a uniting matter, and I believe we can make a big impact. After this event, I will be creating a nonprofit organization focused on community education, providing workshops to schools, police departments, churches, community groups, and more. I'd appreciate your support in these efforts and would love to work with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Appreciate that. Anybody else for announcements? Mr. Ivy.
Good evening. How's everybody?
Good, Mr. Ivy. How are you?
I am well. Thank you very much. I just want to come for a couple of reasons. One, as the chair of the Cultural Awareness and Social Inclusion Committee, we want to thank all of our city council members for their support. Thank the mayor, Mayor Pro Tem. We continue to support. We had an event at University of Laverne a couple of weeks ago, same day as the Santa Claus Christmas tree lighting event, and it was wonderful. And the mayor and both the Mayor Pro Tem both came and spoke, and it was quite enlightening. Had soul food, had Greek food, all kinds of different delicacies, and it was just a great event. Next year, we're going to have more people there because we'll advertise much more aggressively for that. Also, I want to tell you that we are doing a great thing by moving our meeting date from the first Wednesday of the month to the first Tuesday of the month. And that's because the Bonita Unified School Board and the teachers and educators want to come. And our meetings are on the same night as their board meetings. So we're going to be moving that to Tuesday so that they can also join us. And we had great representation from them when they came to the meeting. We also want to thank the mayor and the support of the city council on a letter that the mayor has written to the community. It was a beautiful letter, and we really want to thank you for it. And I just want to read a little excerpt from it. And he thanks everybody for the community work, but specifically, across the world, there are instances of hate and violence targeting individuals based on their race, ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or any other protected characteristic. Our community is and should continue to be an example of unity, diversity, inclusion, and belonging. And I want to make it unequivocally clear that hate has no place in the city of Laverne. I know the full city council shares the sentiment, and he closes that in times like these, in which we are witness to events across the world and at home, it becomes imperative for us to reaffirm our commitment to fostering an environment where everyone feels safe, valued, and respected. And I encourage each and every one of you to be vigilant, to report any incidences that go against the spirit of inclusivity that defines us, and to stand up against hatred in all of its forms. It's a beautiful letter, and I really want to compliment the mayor for doing that and the support of the city council. It goes out to the community. It's on the website for the city. We plan on putting it out ourselves as we can. And I want to acknowledge a young lady by the name of Joan Reyes, who was instrumental behind the scenes of bringing this to the attention of the mayor and others and helped get this letter out. So, Joan, thank you for that. And also Yvonne Gallegos, and you guys know Yvonne's always here pounding away on efforts, and I want to thank her for that diligence because it brought forth the fruition of this letter. And in closing, I just want to say that we have a couple of members here from Cassie. Rick Bowen's also a member of Cassie, and we are wanting to let you know how much we need the support to be continuing in the city, what we're trying to accomplish. I heard a young man talking about the trafficking. That seems like it goes hand in hand with the kinds of things we're trying to institute here. Because as many of you remember, when we started Cassie, people said, well, we don't need Cassie because there is no more racism. There is no racism in Laverne. And because the example was we elected Obama, therefore that ended racism. And it was quite an interesting comment given the things that are happening behind the scenes. And so I want to, again, thank everybody. There's nothing to be afraid of coming to a Cassie meeting. Everybody come to Cassie meeting. Please come, open and discuss. The mayor and I had great dialogue. We use all kinds of words, and that's okay because it's a safe environment.
They were good words, right?
They were good words.
Okay.
Yeah, we got in good trouble, and so it's a wonderful event. So again, we encourage you all to come to our Cassie meetings, and we thank you again, Mayor and City Council, for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Ivy, very much. Any other announcements? With that, we're going to move to consent calendar. Now we move on to consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are routine and will be enacted by one motion unless a member of the city council or member of the audience requests separate discussion. I do, council, you have any request to pull a consent item? I did want to pull item 3. And the reason I wanted to pull item 3, I know Director McWade's here just to discuss the rates from the other companies. It was not put in the folder. They did not put the different comparisons of the 4 contractors. And so if you could give us those amounts, what the amounts were, if you don't mind, please.
While she's coming up, on your dais is a revised version of the agreement.
This right here.
We just had the wrong copy in the.
She had sent that afterwards, but I
report,
think for
yes.
the public, I want to make sure they know that we did it. It just wasn't put in the packet.
Right.
But they
so
did
we have
review.
copies of it over here.
Okay. If anybody wants to see that, we have copies over here. So if
and
you want to
it's
see
up on
that.
the website as well.
Before Ms. McWade goes and does that, should we approve the other items prior?
Yes, please.
Okay. So nothing else has been pulled. Is that correct? Here.
Correct. We haven't been made aware of any other items to be pulled, sir.
So the other items, I need a motion for the other items.
Move to approve the consent calendar items number 1 and 2, excluding number 3.
Second. Got it. Vote, please. Are we going to vote or roll call?
It'll be a roll
Roll call.
vote. Councilmember Johnson?
Approve.
Councilmember Crosby?
Yes.
Councilmember Cashel-Fagita?
Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau?
Yes.
Mayor Hepburn?
Yes.
And that is passed 5-0 for items 1 and 2 on the consent calendar.
Thank you. We move to Public Works Director Meg McWade, please.
So good evening, Mayor and Honorable Council and community. The item in front of you relates to the HVAC equipment, heating, ventilation, air conditioning contract award. Basically, the mayor, this contract is a service-based bid, so it's not strictly low bid. So it was my oversight in not including the actual pricing in it because that wasn't the sole factor in the selection. But there were 4 bidders. The bidder that we selected is Southland Mechanical, and it was an interdepartmental committee that did the selection. And they were at, for the preventative maintenance, $33,200 a year. The next lowest bid was $46,316 from Diversified Thermal. The next bid was ACO Engineered System at $77,426. And the final bid was FM Thomas Air Conditioning at $103,252. So while it was a balance between selection and quality of the actual vendor, they were the low bid as well. So we will include those bid prices next time regardless.
They're all very formidable companies. I
They
do
are.
deal with most of them
Absolutely.
in the field. So I just wanted to make sure that there's no hidden agendas here, that we make sure that we put these in there because it's very important for the rates, as we did last time when we changed schedules of demands and schedules of some of our fees, that we put before, after. That way everybody understands and just we're up and up. And I know that the review committee was very good with that decision, but just to make sure we put it out there, that's all.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate
you.
that. Any other questions for Director McWade?
Thank you.
Looks like any questions from the audience? That would be no. We're going to move it up. I need a motion then to approve.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Johnson?
There you go, Johnson.
Approve.
Councilmember Crosby?
Yes.
Councilmember Cashel-Fagita?
Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau?
Yes.
Mayor Hepburn?
Yes.
And
Thank you,
item-
Director McWade.
Item 3 is approved 5-0.
Very good. We now move to public hearings. We have one public hearing for the allocation of the Community Development Block Grant funding for the curb ramp accessibility project. Assistant City Manager Reynolds, I think that would be, go ahead, you call up the staff that's
That'll
going
be
to do the
staff
report.
member Candace Bocock, sir.
Good evening, Ms. Bocock.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. So the City of Laverne, as you know, receives community development block grant funds on an annual basis to address the community needs. We have about $288,000 in CDBG funds designated for utilization by December 31st of this year. There's about $80,000 spent so far this fiscal year, so we still need to spend another $208,000, which why I'm here tonight asking the City Council to allocate an additional $230,000 to fix about 30 curb ramps to comply with the Americas with Disability Act guidelines. Staff has been working closely with the Los Angeles County Development Authority, and we have a clear intent to expedite the execution of contracts and guarantee project completion within the specified timeframe. The funds spent plus this new curb ramp project total about $300,000, and the chart included in the staff report illustrates the approved CDBG projects totaling over $530,000. Staff is currently also reviewing the potential of an additional sidewalk project that should happen in early 2024, which would involve the allocation of an extra $200,000 of CDBG funds that will come back to council in the next month or two. It's recommended that the City Council adopt Resolution 23-87 and appropriate $230,000 in community development block grant funds to the curb ramp accessibility project. I am available from staff if you have any questions, as well as Cody Howing, the city engineer, and Meg McWade from Public Works.
Council, any questions for staff before we go to public hearing?
Just that the completion of the work has to be done before December 31st.
Correct.
So we'll be having a lot of work done in the city for the next couple weeks.
Correct.
That was very clear. Any other questions for staff before we go to public? We're going to open up public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Okay. We'll close public hearing. Move to the dais. Any comments before we make a motion? I want to thank staff for this. It's really important. This is using those CDBG funds for getting creative here, and I really like that because we need to utilize those funds. There's money in there as a number of the residents, Ms. Beauchamp, I think Mr. Bowen, and I think Mr. Gabaldon had talked about the CDBG funds and how we can be creative. So excellent. Excellent. With that, I'll take a motion.
I'll move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Johnson?
Approve.
Councilmember Crosby?
Yes.
Councilmember Castrovilligita?
Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau?
Yes.
Mayor Hepburn?
Yes.
That is approved 5-0.
Thank you very much. Now we move on to other matters. We have 3 items tonight. The first matter is the legislative platform for the 2024 legislative session. Mr. Manager Randalls, please call for the staff member who will be reporting.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm actually going to do that one.
Yourself.
Oh, sorry. Legislative platforms first. That's
Your turn.
that's Andrea Blockinger. I was
She's
excited
right
to do mine.
next to you. By the way, thank you for the mic on the podium. We just need to take that other thing off there, but that's great. The mic. That thing.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, and City staff. This evening, we are continuing the conversation regarding the 2024 legislative platform. The platform was initially presented before Council at the December 4th City Council meeting, and Council gave direction to City staff to continue this platform discussion to this meeting, as well as the January 16th City Council meeting, to ensure that residents have the time to provide input on this document before it's approved, and we utilize it in the next legislative session. During that meeting, it was also directed to develop a webpage on the city website that included an FAQ for residents to better understand the legislative process and the reason why we want to have this legislative platform in the first place. So that webpage went live on the Wednesday following that city council meeting. It had an FAQ there, as well as the option for residents to submit feedback on that document. It was also posted on our various social media pages, Instagram, Facebook, Nextdoor, requesting input from our community on this platform. It was also submitted in our Wednesday wrap-up document that's sent to our subscribers on the city webpage. At this point, about 2,000 people have been reached across all of our platforms, and we haven't received any comments yet or feedback through the survey on the website or on the comments on the social media posts. Before we open up the discussion tonight regarding the legislative platform, I wanted to also allow our Townsend Public Affairs Representative Eric O'Donnell to speak for a minute or two regarding his role for the city and the benefit of having a legislative platform. And he's on the call now.
Welcome, Mr.
Thank
O'Donnell.
you, Andrea. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Eric O'Donnell with Townsend Public Affairs. It's an honor to be here tonight to discuss the legislative platform. We're the city's contract, state, and federal lobbyists, as well as your grant writer. working to advance your legislative priorities with your legislators. The legislative platform really just helps us establish some clear guidelines and clear policy principles about what the city council believes in and what you believe in based on the flavor of the day in Sacramento and the likely topics that will come up in Sacramento throughout the legislative session. It also gives the city council and staff who serve on some regional or state or local committees, gives them some direction as well about how to represent certain positions that might come up at these other functions, such as like San Gabriel Valley COG, SCAG, or any other local government committee you might be a part of representing the city. And then finally, and most importantly, it really informs your representatives in Sacramento and DC what the city's policies and ethos really is when it comes to legislative matters. So we get asked all the time from legislators about our city's positions on certain issues, not necessarily bills in general, but certain issues. And having that platform in place really does help us provide that back to your representatives so they can better represent you in Sacramento or DC. I want to be clear that we do not make unilateral decisions on behalf of the city. We are in constant communication with staff about positions on certain items, so we are not out there advocating without direction. But I just want to make that clear when it comes to this platform. Just because it's on the platform does not mean that we're acting unilaterally without talking to staff. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. O'Donnell.
With that, I'm ready to answer any questions you guys have about this document. And of course, Eric is on the call as well to answer any specific questions you may have.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
Council, any questions for staff before we move to public comment?
No, I really think that this is a listening time that we've had for this to go on. It's going to be going on to our next month's agenda as well. So really hearing from residents is the key.
I would just ask, I know that this was pushed out already once, but I think in light of the fact that December is incredibly busy for folks with holidays and family and everything else, that we do another push to make sure that people have an opportunity to respond to that survey, ask any questions that they might have, engage appropriately before that January 16th meeting.
And maybe that's something we post after the holidays are
Yes,
over.
that would be fantastic.
Maybe mid-January.
Yes,
To the meeting.
when people have a time to breathe and do things. So,
Like
thank you.
January 5th. Councilmember Cash, any comments before public comment?
No, thanks, Andre. I appreciate you all your hard work. There you go. Champion
Very good.
way. Laverne Strong. There you go.
Thank you, Andrea, very much. We're going to open up public comment on this item. Anyone wish to speak on this item? That would be a no. We're going to close public comment. And then we just need a motion to continue this legislative platform for the 2024 legislative session to the meeting of January 16th and post it right after the new year. Is that correct, Mayor Pro Tem Lau? So we have a motion for that?
Happy to move.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Johnson?
Approve.
Councilmember Crosby?
Yes.
Councilmember Castelfagita?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau?
Yes.
Mayor Hepburn?
Yes.
That was approved 5-0.
Andrea, thank you. Nice job. We'll move on to the second matter, review of the Laverne film permit process and council direction on process. Assistant City Manager Reynolds, please call forward the staff member who will be reporting.
This was the one I
That's
was
yours.
very excited about, yes.
Yeah, that's okay. Just knock Andrea out. It's okay. Don't worry about it, you know? Sorry. I've only been working weeks on it.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is actually an item that we would traditionally put forth as a study session item, but because we've had several study sessions with a little bit higher priority, we haven't been able to bring this forward. So with a bit of a lighter agenda this evening, we wanted to put it on there and get some direction from council on possibly how to handle how to handle film permits within the city. I got it.
How could I make the password? I should not be.
You know, that's usually what I'm best at anyways. But the City of Laverne's Municipal Code, Title 5, Chapter 5.57, filming and videotaping outlines the process and requirements to obtain a film permit to professionally film in Laverne. The procedure and requirements for approval can make it somewhat difficult for efficient processing compared to other cities that handle the same type of film permits. And so with Laverne, for any type of professional film permit, it is required that after the city receives an application, that ultimately it gets approved by the city council. What we're really looking at doing tonight is ultimately seeking direction on if we change our current process to possibly loosen that up. You may remember a month or so ago, we brought back what generally was on its face a pretty simple film permit process to get approval for the city manager to go ahead and execute and finalize an agreement. Because of this timing factor of bringing it to council, we wouldn't have had enough time. So right now in our municipal code, every film permit that's not student or something along those lines, we'll talk about that in a little bit more specifics in a minute, has to come before city council for approval. So some of those exceptions are filming for family, private use, for filming like criminal investigations, those types of things, for news purposes, community access, and then I mentioned a school project. So those can actually be approved per the municipal code administratively. So those are why you haven't seen those types of things. I will say that out of those categories, we do get approached probably 3 to 5 times a year by students, whether it be from USC's film school, the University of Laverne, Cal Poly, and so we go ahead and administratively approve those. Most of the time it's in a private residence or something like that where there's no impact to the public. So the actual application that has to be done, it's not too burdensome of a process on that side of it. Our application is actually just like a one-page application that they fill out. But then what I wanted to point out with the language that's specifically in the municipal code is any person desiring to obtain a permit to engage in the business or activity of filming and videotaping shall file a written signed application with the city clerk on or before 5 p.m. on the Monday preceding the next regular city council meeting. That lies part of our problem, and what I would definitely suggest that we should go back and amend, because that's even later than what staff has to turn stuff into the city clerk's office now. So that's not even in line with our current process. So that definitely needs to be looked at. And frankly, to do a thorough job on reviewing these applications, we need more time than that. We check in with police, we check in with fire, we check in with public works to make sure that they don't have concerns and that the filming activity is safe, as well as mitigating any impacts that it might have on our community. And so this is just touching base on the current process. All the current film permit applications actually go to me as the assistant city manager, and then I help facilitate it and coordinate it through all the different departments, and then ultimately we bring them back to council for approval. If staff is able to support those, then we do bring them back to council. There has been times where, mostly because of timing issues with that requirement to make a city council meeting, most of the requests we get are asking to do it much quicker than what we're able to do because of the council meeting. The other thing that I'll note is that we don't have a full-time film permit processor, right? That's something that actually, it's interesting how that became one of my hats that I wear, but I have been wearing it for several years, even before I have had the duties as the assistant city manager that I have now. And so because of the nature of my position and other duties that have higher priorities, sometimes the film permit is not at the top of that pile. And we do want to be good business partners with folks that want to partner with us and do things in our community. We have folks that actually live close by that are part of this industry and that help locate possible film sites and those types of things. And they would argue that we're missing out on possible revenue streams, economy boosts, and those types of things because we're not as easy to work with as possibly some other cities. And so that was one of the primary drivers of bringing that forward before the council tonight to get some extra direction. Another section of our film permit process is in the municipal code that I think is important to point out for tonight is there are these conditions currently in place that talk about noise, and there's a paragraph about what those types of things are, but like pyrotechnics, explosions, that type of stuff would fall into that category. Aircraft with airplanes or helicopters or those types of issues. Anytime a street or a sidewalk is closed, that would fall under that section. The public safety personnel and services, we've processed permits before that has needed a fire marshal to be on scene or police officers to be there for safety purposes or traffic and control issues, those types of things. Those would also be in there. And those are actually some good triggers to keep in mind as we talk about getting some more direction later on, because I think those are all good triggers to think about anytime we're looking at those film permits. The additional requirements, if they were to do pyrotechnics or explosives, those are currently required to have a separate permit from the fire department specifically. They need to give us a parking plan so that they're not just parking in the street, with tons of equipment and trucks and those types of things. They need to have something that shows how they're mitigating that. The notification to the neighbors, there's different sections and requirements of how far they need to go out, depending on the impact and the size of that production, that they would need to give notification to both residential areas, but then also business owners and those types of things, depending on where they're filming. The hours of our operations is basically from 7 to 7 currently. And then they have to also, typically what they do is they do it at a private residence, or we've seen them at the University of Laverne. They have to provide proof that they have permission to film there as part of our process. And then we require the allowance of doing inspections, on-site inspections, so that they're doing it the way that they said they were going to do it and safely. And then, of course, we also have insurance and deposits that we require as part of that process that you approve ultimately, how we have it today. So there's a couple options that were provided in the staff report. I think at a minimum, we should get direction to go back and look at those easy cleanup items to bring it within a standard that makes sense. And then there's also the ability for council to loosen up the requirement to bring every permit back to council and give the city manager a little more authority to approve those more administrative, low-impact ones, with also keeping in mind that we could include those triggers, the pyrotechnics, explosions, aircraft, that section that I pointed out as basically the bumpers and parameters of maybe that's what you guys would like to see is when those types of things are being asked about. But if there's not a closure or something like that, then maybe administratively we could handle that in-house. So that would be one option. Another option would be to looking at contracting with a film processing company. Film LA is a very popular one in the area. San Dimas, our neighbor to the west of us, uses that. And basically they're a company that is one of their specialties. They know the industry. They know cities, what cities require, and what we would be worried about for our communities. And they process them a little bit quicker, and then it's not necessarily a staff person that would be dedicated to trying to facilitate that through a process. The cost of that is actually put back on the people wanting to do the film. So there's no cost to the city in that scenario. We would still receive the permit fees and those types of things that we have established today, and that we would also review and make sure that those are at the levels that they need to be as part of this process. But that would be another option.
That sounds pretty good, actually.
So basically, just to summarize, we could keep things the way they are today, status quo. We could amend and look at that from more of a staff level and doing it internally, or we could amend what we need to amend and clean it up, but then also look at going with a third party. All this would need to come back to council. No decision is being requested tonight. We are just wanting to make sure that before we start this work, that we have good, clear direction from council on what you want that to look like.
Council, comments? Go ahead, Councilman or Mayor Pro Tem.
So first of all, I think, to your point, regardless, there is some amendment that would likely happen. I don't think keeping the status quo makes sense if we haven't changed it in a while. Some of the things that I look at, I don't know what the permitting fees are. I don't know what that structure is. My direction or my ask would be that we can, look at other cities. What are they doing and how are they facilitating that work? Because I'm not trying to increase work for staff. But I also think about the fact that, we don't have a car dealership. We don't have, some of the big lot stores that other cities have that incur revenue. And if this is a potential revenue stream, I'd like to keep that option open. But of course, keeping in mind the residents' safety, their accessibility to, get around the city freely, all that has to be weighed in. So I'd like to know what other cities are doing. I agree with what Mayor Hepburn said quietly over next to me about contracting out. That would be nice, especially if we can pass that cost on to whoever is requesting the permit. The only other ask I would have would be with respect to insurance. I note that, obviously it identifies general liability and workers' comp, but I think it's much more than that, especially if you're talking about pyrotechnics or the use of drones or aircrafts. There would have to be specialized insurance that these folks would have to carry. I would also want to see the city named as an additional insured to protect us to the best of the ability possible. I understand there's a hold harmless provision currently, but anything we can do to button that up would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Lau. Councilmember Cash?
I have nothing to say. I think she said it all. It's a good job.
She almost
That's what she's
covered
on
everything.
The team. I mean, she
Just
covered
about.
like everything. I just say make it more desirable and for people, make it easier for you guys, however we can make it, and desirable for people to come. Hopefully, next Fast and Furious or Transformers could come here.
How many permits are requested on an average year?
For Laverne, at the production level, that would need to come back to council, separating out the more lower level student project. Is we've probably only seen 3. It's hard to judge just because of the pandemic, but then also the recent strike that's been affecting filming. In talking with San Dimas, they see about 5 to 10 a year on a good year is how they described it. And what's interesting with them, and we have a similar relationship with Brackett, but because of their proximity to Benelli, it's actually any filming that's done there requires a City of San Dimas permit. And their staff has said that that's where most of the film activity happens, is at that park, which has basically little impact to the city itself. And so they're more apt to approve those.
And I know we're right on the outside of the sphere of the union being able to travel within their time frame as well. I know Fairplex is the farthest part of that sphere for them. And I would look to direction to amend and really only those large cases where we're closing streets or closing part of our community down where it have to come to council. I think small pieces that can be done and be gone through the process so that I know a lot about picking places and is about timing on their part as well. And so if we have to wait 2-3 weeks before it can get any kind of approval just for even something very small, I think that would lose chances of things happening and maybe a revenue source.
Thank you, Councilmember Crosby. Councilmember Johnson.
Well, I remember when this ordinance came about, and it was because of a film where there were explosions. And, there is a disruption in neighborhoods when film crews and the catering trucks come in that needs to be taken into account because the residents, unless they're actually on the premises or in the residence filming, the neighbors don't get compensated in any way for the hassles that the film crews create. So that is a concern of mine. And I'm not sure exactly how that gets addressed if we let the outside contractor arrange these films for us. That's just my concern.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Mayor Pro Tem Lau actually stated it very well, and so did Mr. Crosby and also Cash and Mr. Johnson. I think my deal is this. Why are we even doing it, first of all, when we have an outside company that I think the most important thing for the filming is to have access. We've had issues before where they want to do it like that week, and we've gotten involved. They call us, the mayor and the council members. It's like, hey, come on. You know, this didn't just happen. You've got a film crew that wants to come here. You knew about this for months. But I think all of the above, I think that as long as we can look at, if it's an outside company, as long as the city manager or the assistant city manager has this final say, but if it's something on a large scale that requires the pyrotechnics, I think using an outsource vendor, because other cities are using them, we might get more film crews, more revenue for the city, as Mayor Pro Tem Lau said. But also we have to make sure that we're protected and make sure that it's safe. But I mean, I would say amend, but also like look at the outsource vendor to see what it is, because if they're going to take full responsibility on reviewing, it takes the time off of you guys. Because quite frankly, we've got other things to do. And if this is their specialty and they charge them anyway, and then they come back to you and say, here it is, this is the deal, this is what they're doing. If it's something that's come, it still has to come before the council if it's something of a large scale, correct?
That would be just clarification that we would want as staff
Okay.
to make sure that that's what council's looking for.
I think, well, we probably should go to public comment and we'll bring it back up. Let's open up public comment on this. Any public comment? Mr. Bowen.
Good evening, Council. Mr. Crosby, thanks for asking that question. JR, it sounded like you were inundated, but there's 3 a year. So the only recommendation I might say is you alluded to it, put some dollar value on it, that up to a certain amount, if you're going to give the city manager more leeway, make sure we're covered. I think having an outside company is going to have less concern over Laverne versus their own pocketbook. So, but if you do give the city manager or staff, put a dollar limit on it. I don't know how much an average permit might run, but you know, as you said, the scope of things. Well, the scope of things would be the dollar amount, in my opinion.
Good
Thank
point.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Anyone else? Good evening.
Good evening, City Council. Mayor. I'm glad I stepped in tonight. Tom Scahill, 2618 Hannawalt. I happened to be part of the city of Monrovia back in the 80s when they went through their whole rejuvenation process. And one of the processes that was used was the film industry. In lieu of excessive permitting fees, I think at the time the permitting fee was $1, strictly as an avenue to get the movie companies to come into the city. In lieu of that, what they did was they were required to compensate the business owners, the residents, and everyone else up to 3 times their daily revenue. So the actual compensation wasn't coming to the city. The compensation was actually coming to the residents, to the businesses, and to the areas that were surrounding there. One of the other things that was really controversial at the time, but was highly successful, was from downtown Monrovia, within a 1 mile as the crow flies, all the palm trees were cut down. When they went through and cut down all of these palm trees, it then became Anytown, USA, because any movie company could come there and film, and it appeared as any Midwest town, any central town. There were no palm trees in Iowa at the time, so it was highly successful at that point. I myself had my building used on 7 different film situations, and I can tell you, it was very easy to say, guys, I'm shutting it down. You're going to pay me 3 times a day. How long do you need it? And the movie companies were very, very proactive when it came to all the parking regulations, all of the permittings that they needed to get done with the fire department and the police department and all of those things, just so they could have access. And yes, it was one of those things where we need it next Tuesday. They do have those time frames that come up because there's quite frequently script changes that happen and they need to fill in real quick. But I can tell you back in the 80s, it was hugely successful, and it was responsible for a major transformation in the city of Monrovia. I believe the city manager at the time was Don Hopper, and he was the one that was responsible for a lot of that. So if you need any more information after the meeting, I'd love to chat with you.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Mr. Davis.
Muir Davis, 2469 2nd Street. I want to concur with both Rick Bowen and with Tom Scahill. I think that, especially as we're moving into this endeavor, it's a competitive marketplace, so it'd be more helpful if we, the city, know what's going on rather than leaving it to an outside external party who isn't necessarily going to look out for our best behalf, but try to find the most competitive deal that they can broker and may not share the influence or the interests and the concerns that we might otherwise raise. So I would encourage us to take it on ourselves. But again, if it ends up being a half a FTE's worth of work, hopefully they're bringing in that kind of revenue and more. So I would encourage us to keep it in-house so that we understand the pulse of it. I think amending it to make it more fluid and dynamic is important because as friends of mine who are also in the industry know, it's something that happens in a couple days. They're looking at Claremont, they're looking at Laverne, they're looking at San Dimas, they're weighing in which one's the easiest to get to. You know, the director has their say, but the scene reviewer also has some influence. But if they see something that's going to take over 2 or 3 days, they're gone. They don't have time. They don't have time to wait for our council meeting. So I think amending it is absolutely appropriate. I think listening to the opportunities and how they might be shared in the community are the things that we could do if it's amended versus outsourced. We outsource it, we give it up, all control. I still get feedback from people asking, why is this parking ticket so high and why am I sending it to somewhere in Orange County? Our residents expect us to know what's going on and expect us to be doing it ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Anyone else wish to speak? Lily.
Lily Breno, 24657 7th Street, Laverne. Okay, I remember this come up last few months. We brought up this like a film permit. So I was kind of excited at that time because I said, hey, Laverne, as known as the very famous movie called The Graduate, right? My husband even showed me the place, wow, in the wedding. Okay, so it's very exciting and then it's very famous, make Laverne very famous. But when it comes to reality, if the filming place is very close to my house. Actually, I think if I remember right, it's First Street, right? So as a resident, we like the good surprise, but don't like the bad surprise, right? Like explode traffic or something like what happened? Even just the street closed, it will be really, annoying. So I was thinking about why we have to do that, right? So nobody could catch up the filming company. They really need to do it right now, right? So that's what my concern as a resident. So we like good surprise, not bad surprise. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. Anyone else wish to speak on this? Mr. Gabaldon.
I think my opinion is I'm not in favor of giving up local control, period, in the story. I think that if the workload isn't that significant over the course of a year, I think there's a way to find a process that gives you the latitude to make a good decision when the appropriate opportunity presents itself and not have to, bring it to council every time. But I think, also I understand and agree that we need revenue streams to support all the good work going on in the city. But mostly, I am in favor of the residents' opinion. And I think that bringing in film crews through a third party, probably at their best interest above ours. I didn't hear anything in the presentation about where the residents and the businesses that might be most disrupted by that activity had a say or were involved. So if that's to be added, that would be awesome. I'd feel more comfortable with bringing in a third party that's going to have our interests in mind. But I think that that's a necessary component of any decision you make. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gabaldon. Any other comments? We'll go ahead and close public comment. Back up the dais. Mayor Pro Tem Lau. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to clarify a couple things that maybe I didn't do a good enough job explaining. But if the council did direct to look at a third party company doing that, that's not removing total control from staff. That's having that vendor facilitate all the pieces and components that are required as part of the film permit process.
And then bring it back to the city.
And then it would ultimately come back to the city. So I just wanted to make sure I clarified that point. The control of approval still lies with the city. It's just that they're able, because they do that for a living, to focus on it and to make sure that all the boxes, as we lay out, however many boxes the city puts forward in that process, would need to be checked off. That third-party vendor would make sure that all those boxes are checked versus a staff person. And then it would come back to a staff person, basically the city manager, to review. The second point I wanted to try to clarify is there is notification given to residents and to businesses today in our process. Right now, I believe, based on memory, that it's 48 hours at least notice of written notice that has to go out to those properties that are affected. I think the minimum's like 300 feet, and then depending on the complexity of the production, that's expanded to further ranges in today's municipal code. And so I would be looking again for staff or from council if we wanted to make that notification requirement different than the 48 hours that's in there today, that we could expand that to more than that if there was a desire and direction. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
So if I can try to maybe summarize and draw consensus from this dais about what I'm hearing from the audience and from the folks up here, is that we would like staff to go back and take a look at what other folks are doing and explore the different possibilities. We want to retain as much local control. Thank you for that clarification. But I think retaining local control, you mentioned the 48-hour notice period. I would personally probably extend that to the extent possible. I know that's not always going to be possible given the industry, but I think if we're talking about like a street closure that could prevent someone from, getting to work on time or, whatever, they should have more notice so that they can make accommodations, because I don't want to assume that everybody can instantly figure out a way to get somewhere or have daycare or whatever it is that is pertinent to our residents. So I think if you can gather that information and come up with the parameters. I think I've also heard from this dais that the low-hanging fruit or the sort of the low-impact items we would be okay with not seeing, but the things that would have obviously a greater impact to our community needs to be brought forward to us to review. And I think just the pros and cons too of that contracting out. You did bring up that clarification, but I'd be curious to know, what does that look like? And if right now we're looking at, and I understand the pandemic threw off numbers potentially, but if we're looking at 3 to 5 requests, right now that doesn't seem necessarily like a big enough amount to say, we need to go find a third company to do it. But again, however that works, I think we need more details on that so that we have a better understanding of the.
That may give us the opportunity to have more filming done here. So
Right.
I think like you're saying, I think the options are go ahead and we need to modify and review.
Mhm.
We need to streamline. We need to see what the other cities are doing, and then go with and then look at the outsourced company and see what they do, see what the other cities have used them for, and how that fits with us. But making sure that our residents are the first concern, But at the end of the day, I've always thought that it's just like ridiculously long. It's just ridiculously long,
I mean, and I do like what Mr. Scale said. If there's an opportunity for our businesses to get 3 times the
Absolutely.
amount, I don't know.
Absolutely.
I'd like to believe the 80s was just yesterday too, but when I do the math, it freaks me out.
Yeah, don't even
further
go
back
there.
than I thought.
Please
so I
don't
know
go
what
there.
I don't know what the going rate is. So it's better than that now. Awesome.
It's gotta be.
If that's the norm, great. Then let's vie for that. If there can be some additional revenue that can come to the city.
I think that Mr. Johnson, you good with that?
I think so.
Very good. Then we should go ahead and do we need a do we need a vote on that? We're just direction. We don't need a vote on that, correct? We just need direction.
Yeah.
No vote, Mayor.
We're good? Thank you, everybody out there. We really appreciate that. Some good ideas, and hopefully we can hammer this out and bring it back in a month or so, or 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it's definitely something we've had. Anytime you're looking at changing municipal code, it does take a little bit of time.
So
but
June.
We'll be working on it, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
Very good. We will go ahead and close that one. Let me get here. Okay. Third matter, resolution appointing candidates for City Council Districts 2 and 5, canceling the March 5th, 2024 general municipal election. Assistant City Manager Randalls, please call forward the staff member who will be reporting. That will be
Our city attorney's
our
going to
city
handle this
attorney's
item.
going to handle this one. Beautiful. Ms. Barlow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. December 8th was the final day for nominations for the 2 district seats that are open. The only candidates who filed for those 2 seats are Councilmember Crosby and Mayor Pro Tem Lau in their respective districts. The law allows you, with the proper notice, which has been posted, to choose to appoint those individuals. They would then be sworn in when at the normal time in the future, after the election would normally be certified. That would save the city substantially in terms of funding. About $54,000 is the actual savings estimate, and that does not include, just the sort of internal staff time and those types of things that will also be saved by that action. So we are recommending that you do that. It is actually pretty common. We've looked around a little bit just in our immediate area, including in the city of Laverne. This has occurred 4 times in the last 9 years. I have, of the 20 cities that we represent, we have several that are in the same situation this year. So think of it as an opportunity to save some money and redirect it to a good cause. So we are recommending that you accept the city clerk's certification with respect to the candidates and adopt resolution number 23-88, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Laverne, County of Los Angeles, State of California, providing for the appointment to the office of members of the City Council, Districts 2 and District 2 and District 5, that were to be elected Tuesday, March 5th, and canceling the election for District 2 and District 5 for March 5th, 2024. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Large mouth there. Thank you, Attorney Barlow. I think we should go to public comment before we discuss on the dais. So I'm going to open up public comments on the item. I already have Jack Marcica. Marquica, I'm sorry. Marcica. Well, that's easy. We try. Good evening, sir.
Fellow Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem. I actually had a little side note, just dovetailing on your previous conversation. My wife and I were quite intrigued when we learned that the Graduate film was right over here at this church across the street. One reason why is because The Graduate was the movie that we saw on our very first date. We moved from New York, and this January we'll be celebrating 54 years.
Congratulations.
So we really appreciate that. It was really, in fact, Fathom Events had a showing of it not too long ago. So we definitely had to go back and see that because it was our first date. Okay, so based on this particular matter, for item number 7, I did read here. It says, as provided for the election code 1022-9, since there were no more candidates nominated, that the city council may cancel the election and appoint 2 candidates. And, well, first of all, I do want to applaud the city council for making the effort to cut expenses. I'm a very good proponent of that. I'm a retired financial advisor. So as you can see, I would always be cautioning my clients to please cut expenses and find ways to legitimately increase their revenue. However, that being said, it does make sense to cut expenses when it makes practical sense to do so. However, avoiding a free and fair election is not a measure that makes practical sense. The cost to the city's reputation in avoiding a free and fair election will far exceed any expenses saved by this decision. I'm sure some of you, particularly old enough, may remember a statement called being penny wise and pound foolish. And that's certainly not something that we want to do. And I'm sure the city can find at least 10 different ways to cut costs to the city in different areas. And if you're not sure of that, just ask your constituent residents. Trust me, they will have many ideas on how the city can cut costs that will even exceed that. And as a retired financial advisor, I would be happy to sit down at your budget meeting to assist you with that task of finding good, legitimate costs that make practical sense. So I want you to consider that, and I want to thank you for the time given me to ask you to consider carefully that you, and I want that you would have the wisdom to decide in favor of preserving the stellar reputation of the city of Laverne. Preserving it by, we know that there can be writing candidates, and the people of the city should be willing and able to make that choice. It should not be something that is denied them by the council's attempt to avoid a cost that makes no sense avoiding, because it's very, very important to the city of Laverne and your residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Ms. Beauchamp.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Pro Tem and Mayor. Danita Beauchamp, 2516 Amherst Street. There are several problems with even thinking this idea out loud, let alone putting it on the agenda for discussion. I realize that it's part of the new rules of district voting, and as most of you know, I have been following this topic extremely closely, but even I am not aware of all of the changes that pertain to those procedures, let alone your average resident who may have been interested in running for candidacy and not know where to start. I do believe that the city posted it on their website, but with not much urgency or imperativeness to explain to the residents. Every single council member on this dais knows how hot of a topic this is, and the need for transparency is something I've been complaining about and requesting since day one. I wish that more information could have been provided. As Mr. Bowen had recommended at the rear of the agenda, there's information about upcoming events, and there was no information pertaining to the deadline for submitting the application with the necessary signatures, which was very unfortunate because this is something that's available online, here in person. I share it with people. It's posted on LV3C Facebook page oftentimes. So there could have been simple ways to make people more aware of, the urgency of becoming a candidate. I think the whole premise of district voting, as it was stated, was to prevent a lawsuit, and the lawsuit would be based on voters that would be disenfranchised. And I absolutely hate that word because I don't think our city participates actively in things that disenfranchise the residents. But denying the residents the opportunity to vote with the opportunity to write a candidate in will be doing exactly that. And I think that each and every one of you have to understand that there are many of us, such as Mrs. Brainerd, who has explained that she comes from a country that doesn't have a democracy, a democratic process, and gets to vote, and she takes that very seriously, as do I. Many people identify as wherever their country, their ethnicity, their ancestries come, so most people will say, oh, they're Hispanic American. No, I am an American Hispanic, because being American is my first and foremost priority. And I have exercised my right to vote every single time. And for this dais to even consider from taking that away is just abhorrent. It's absolutely unfathomable. Sorry, I'm very emotional about this subject. I think that I have nearly exhausted my request for this council to be more forthcoming about district voting and all of the changes that pertain to that. We've had the last few meetings discussed about Mr. Johnson's proposal about putting it on the ballot for going back to an elected mayor, and for reasons discussed, it was decided not to. Again, for the savings of money to go back to the city. But at the end of the day, it's still about taking away the power of voting from the people who live in this city. And they've done whatever it is necessary to earn that right to vote, whether they were born here. They may have, participated in the military and defended our freedoms for voting. And I just feel like you're just throwing that away, and it's disheartening. For lack of a better word, I would just sit here and cry that I can't vote. My city is not only have they limited my options for voting with the district voting, but now I don't even get to vote at all. I understand that that's part of the rules that were set forth, but as Mr. Mercica pointed out, the verbiage says may. The council may cancel. It's not required. But if you approve that decision, you are then forcing and coercing the candidates that remain on the residence for an additional 4 years. Some people may be happy with that, some may not. But denying them the opportunity to write in a candidate is something that I don't think this council wants to have on their conscience. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Beauchamp. Mr. Galdon.
Good evening. I wrote this down because I wanted to kind of keep my thoughts together, but as I listen to others speak, it's really hard to do that. So I'm going to try and then kind of get to my point. At the City Council meeting on the evening of November 15th, 2021, the residents of Laverne were stripped of their voting rights and mathematically went from having 5 votes for who sits on the City Council and as the representatives to having only 1 vote if there was an election. So fast forward 2 years, and because of the decision that day and by their avoidable choice to enable this influence in our city called district voting, we are where we are today. Because the failure to see the forest through the trees that this potential scenario could happen. So at the time, I argued that the timing was suspicious. The process, in fact, was flawed in many ways. Go check the tapes. The data and the tools were recognized to themselves be flawed. They were not availed to the community in a timely fashion, haphazardly put together for all the excuses that were provided at that time. The maps were essentially gerrymandered to serve the interest of every city council member at that time ahead of the actual community. That's a fact. Ms. Beauchamp lives across the street from me, and when I went to go vote, she wasn't voting, and today she doesn't have a vote if you cancel this election. And then that evening, to demonstrate, the motives that could come into play based on emotion, how people were feeling on the dais at that time, the whole thing, Mr. Mayor, you didn't even have the chance to get your vote out of your mouth before the council at that time, having already voted 3-1 to go to 5 districts, different of the 4, immediately moved to pick that map on the wall because I like that one. And within 30 seconds, the maps were picked. So the whole process has been flawed. And now, 2 years later, we're finding that basically 12,000 people in this city will not be given the opportunity to vote for anybody, whether they're favored, they favor Rick or Wendy. They're great people. I have no problem with that. But I really have a problem with this process and what it is that it's led to, because we didn't think down the road and we let this happen. And to the cost-saving thing, if we had spent the money that we had the opportunity to spend back then to invite the community more completely into the conversation, I doubt we'd be talking about 5 districts. I think we'd probably have an at-large mayor, but we didn't. So now we're talking again about not saving the $32,000 to $40,000 at the time that we're being sued. We're talking about $100,000 more. So it sounds great, all this money saving, but what's being lost is the rights of this community to vote for their representatives, whether by the color of their skin, by their political affiliation, by who is their neighbor and not. All that's gone. So I got to speak all night about the factual realities of what got us here, as well as the sobering realities of what district voting could bring down the road, especially when by the design of district voting and how it prevents other qualified, interested, and perhaps better representatives of the city and people by the color of their skin to be more honestly represented. There will be no opportunity for different representation in 2024. So much for solving that problem. But since I only have a couple minutes, and probably less than a minute left, I leave you with the numbers. And irrespective, again, of the quality of the people whose term will carry over, but yet will not have to present themselves for questioning by the general public because they're beneficiaries by default of the decision to cancel this election, there will be 6,208 people using the district data on the city's website in District 2 who will not have the opportunity for a different choice until at least 2028. There are 6,587 residents of District 5 who will also not be afforded the opportunity to vote for anyone else without a change in representation until at least 2028. How is this fair to them, or the 6,372 in District 1, the 6,158 people in District 3, the 6,100 in District 4? That's exactly how we came to having this problem in the first place. This means that people in these districts 2 and 5 will not get the chance to vote this coming year, may never in this decade get a chance to change the complexion of policy or decision-making in the city when the math will forever be 3 votes in one election cycle to 2 in the next. As I came in person on many nights in 2021, challenging the idea of necessity for district voting in small communities like Laverne, I stand here before you again in opposition of what this was, what it could become, and how the whole of Laverne will never be the same or better for it, of it. This, in fact, was the intent of its authors, and those of political interest look for the opportunities by legislation, by force or threat of lawsuit, by authority and design, bring this wolf in sheep's clothing to divide people in our communities rather than provide them more reasonable and fair avenues through leadership and selling the populations, like those in Laverne, on the better idea that the color of your skin shouldn't matter and every choice should be on the merits, that your right to vote should always be cherished and protected by your representatives, not taken away, and that everyone doesn't always have to see eye to eye to figure out how to live as one and for each other. Thank you very much.
I would like to speak in support of the proposed resolution for the following reasons. The arguments in favor of supporting this resolution are clear and twofold. First, continuing to go ahead with incurring the cost of placing materials on the March 5th ballot when there is no reason to do so, and that is within the parameters of the law, now that no one is running opposite the current city council members, is both cost ineffective and wasteful. More importantly, a second argument arises, and that reveals a more problematic dynamic. The deadline to pull papers to run as a candidate for city council has come and gone. It was advertised using established channels of communication followed in previous elections and with no objection. At the December 8th City Council meeting, a community resident stood up and urged people who wished to run against the current council members to pull papers. This did not happen. It is inappropriate to stretch or tweak the parameters of an election in the event that one is not satisfied with either the results or the process. I repeat, we knew that papers should have been pulled. That deadline was passed, and we can't change those goalposts at this point. Insisting on an election based on an argument for urgency to exercise the right-in option smacks to me of behind-the-scenes electioneering on behalf of particular persons whose identity would then never be known until they were written in on March 5th. There is no transparency in that approach. Our democratic process is sturdy, and it is representative as long as all voters play by the rules of democracy and all candidates for office are fully known. How can we fully know all candidates for office when we have one candidate available and the rest would all be write-in? Any other process then devolves into chaos. I will support this resolution as it's proposed.
Thank you, Ms. Best. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? Yes.
My name is JT Orr. I don't know if I'm supposed to give my address. I heard some people do that earlier. Is that appropriate? Give your address?
You don't have to.
Okay, fine. I want to thank you all for being a part of this. It's obviously a big, it's a sacrifice. Sacrifice of your time, your energy, your resources, things you could be devoted to your family and being somewhere else. So I thank you for being here, and I thank the two individuals that have also put their name in the hat to do this again for 4 more years. I am in support of the council appointing those. I think it would be financially irresponsible to hold an election without an opponent. It seems pretty obvious that I would think it would be slim to none odds that somebody would be a write-in candidate would get more votes than the 2 people that are already here. And I think it would be a waste of our resources. So that's just my public comment.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. Bowen.
Mr. Mayor, Council, good evening. Rick Bowen. I also wrote this down because in hearing everything, you get a lot more information, but I want to write it down. I also wrote it from memory, so if I miss a couple of facts, forgive me. I just find it a very sad day for the city of Laverne. I've been here 42 years. Roughly 2 years ago, council members Carter and Davis brought a motion to move the city to district voting. Even though the residents voted to have at-large council members and mayor for almost 50 years that I'm aware of, at least 50 years. One of the main reasons to go to district voting was to invite more local candidate participation. At least that was the pitch. Another reason was to have more inclusive of the surrounding district residents. 3 of the current council, and forgive me if my numbers are wrong, but I believe 3 of the current council voted yes for district voting. 2 of them are here tonight, voted against at-large mayor voting. Earlier this year, Councilmember Johnson made a motion twice, I believe, to put the at-large mayor vote on the ballot. Both times he was voted down 3-2. And our right to do that has been deferred for 8 years down the road for a future council to decide. That's a shame. And I wrote this assuming the vote will go the way I think it will. So pardon me, I say tonight we saw or might see the end result of all those actions. For the first time in Laverne history, I think, certainly we have the historian here, this council might vote to cancel the election process and appoint 2 of the council people that voted for district voting in the first place. If at-large voting was still in place, I know a few people that would be candidates. But that's not allowed under the current rules. I don't know how that makes things more inclusive. And as we know here tonight, nobody's running against you. I don't know how Councilperson Lau and Crosby feel now about the voting, seeing that no one is participating in the process that was supposed to open up to many more citizens. As we enter the new year, I can only hope the city will investigate the legality of this action. How can a council overturn a state ballot vote with a city resolution? And I brought this up to the mayor and the city manager, and both of them said they're not sure. There was a ballot measure in the early 70s that made at-large voting the law of the city of Laverne. How can a resolution turn over a ballot? For a city that took the voters' rights away based on a possible future lawsuit, it seems they're inviting just that. I've asked to see the written legal opinion from our previous city attorney regarding the ballot measure and the resolution overturning it. But I'm told that the city is looking into it. I would imagine that all residents would like to be sure the current election process is legal. And I hope we see that in the future. As I said, I think it's a very sad day. And if the council votes to stop the election, I think it's a very, very sad day. To wrap up, I just want to, at this time of year, I just want to bless the people of Pomona that lost their church recently in a fire, and also to support Israel against their fight against the Hamas terrorists. I wish the council, city employees, and all residents a very Merry Christmas and any other holiday that you might celebrate. God bless the city of Laverne.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Anyone else on public comment? Lily?
My name is Lily Breno. About this voting, I'm not the people who in favor of this district voting. For many, many times to come to talk about why voting right is so important for American citizen like me. I live in Laverne 17 years, and then I come from communist country. We don't really know what is voting right. So I never really experienced any races. Even I'm Asian, I never, ever experienced that in America or in Laverne. But for this district voting, I really feel the oppression. What's that called? Oppression. Okay, it's because I don't really have chance to vote. Especially, say, I live in District 1. Even District 2 or 5 on ballot, I don't really have chance to vote because I belong to District 1. So I was come to comment again. Every time, of course, against that, but still pass. So that's all. I feel so discouraged, okay? For me, it's still very fear to public speaking, use my foreign language, okay? I don't speak English. So people even say, hey, why you don't go run? So if you talk, you go run, right? So I'm not good at to run. Maybe I'm good at to earn money to be a donor to support somebody who willing to run. I support. I do something I'm good at to do. I don't argue with my son. They speak perfect English. Shut me up, okay? So, but as a citizen of Laverne, I love this city, right? How cool is that? Just now, the lady Loops that have 44 years. We love Laverne. My family have no plan to move anywhere. Even in California, they still live in Laverne, okay? They're just like a tree, okay? Not moving anywhere. But I already seen my voting right gone, okay? So I'm not going to vote for anybody against Mr. Johnson. I really support you in my district. But in other districts, I don't really have a chance to vote. I don't know how important for any other people. But for me, I'm the people who a little like emotion about voting because I really saw so many sad stories in China because they not really know what is voting right. They don't even have chance to say anything, you know. At least in this city, people so nice to me. Nobody care my Chinese accent, right? English, Chinglish, okay? They still respect me, whatever, very loud voice in Laverne, okay? From a few years ago, I think 6 years ago, White Avenue, all the event I participate because I'm not good at speak, but I'm pretty much good at writing maybe. So I make posts, I comment, I share, I have a different social media account. So my job is to announce, to tell people because a lot of people not online. I even go knock the door to hand out a flyer, talk about this or that. Okay, I volunteer a lot. So, but it's still very sad because I'm so sad. Why nobody register, right? In that time frame, nobody registered to vote. Where are they? Maybe Sharon is right? The time cut just there. But why people don't go to fill the file to run? Because this is voting, less chance to win. So that's what I feel. So, okay, this is my loud voice. I know it's in the record. I never look back what I speak, okay, because if it make me discouraged, so not dare to come back speak again. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Lily. Anyone else wish to speak? Mr. Ivy.
Well, I want to bring good news for a change. I kind of listened to all this, and I like what Sherry was sharing with you. And the bottom line is, I haven't heard anybody say that the reason nobody else came to apply and run is because they were happy with what they have representing them. And so I think it's kudos to Crosby and to Lau that their constituents happen to think they're doing a great job. And that's probably why nobody else is running. So on a positive note, I think we need to also understand that this is not Mississippi, Arkansas, or Alabama, where black people were stripped and continuously are being challenged to even get to a voting booth. I mean, that is real. That's what's going on now. That's not what's going on in Laverne. Come on now. In Laverne, this is a great place. We all get along. There were some provisions that people wanted to go forward with. You didn't win, so we need to get over it. It's like somebody else is running for a national office right now. Get over it. And I just want to say that I support this issue. I think it is absolutely necessary that when we can save money, then we should do that. We have some other things we need to spend money on. We've got a homeless issue going on. We've got stores closing. We've got a lot of stuff we want to do. So I support this motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ivy.
Jamie Riley, 1773 Lordsburg Court. Good evening, Mayor Hepburn and Laverne City Council members. As a resident of District 5, I am very happy with my representation. Actually, the district voting is what got me watching city council meetings online every night, because sometimes it's really hard to get here, if ever. So thank you. I do support adopting the resolution to appoint the candidates for city council and cancel the March election. The argument against this resolution is about the process. I appreciate those who come out week over week to advocate for the change they want to see. However, from my perspective, again, watching countless meetings online, serving our community in the role of council member should not be taken lightly. It should be the responsibility of interested candidates to research and understand the election process, which is outlined in the city's website. Residents of these districts had significant time to submit the necessary paperwork to become candidates, but chose not to. With the amount of money available for reprioritizations, these funds should be allocated to the city's higher priorities, such as public safety, and allow the city council members to remain focused on moving the city forward on the priorities important to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? Mr. Davis.
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem, Honorable Council, I come up in the joyful spirit that it feels like Laverne has returned to being Laverne. We have had a tumultuous couple years where we had to sacrifice one method of electing our council to another, and yet Laverne, in its infinite wisdom, has returned to its usual and so oftentimes seen elections where there is no election, where the existing council remains and continues on with the motion versus having an election with a single candidate written there and, of course, space for a write-in. I see a lot of those with Superior Court judges throughout the county where there is only one judge to be elected, and I understand why they go through that process. but Laverne has oftentimes enjoyed elections without any candidates on the ballot because those that chose to serve our fine community did so, and everybody was happy with them, and they ran unopposed, and therefore were nominated or moved in the motion that you're going to have tonight. So I hope that you carry Laverne's tradition forward and accept these two candidates as being our successful council members, and we can move forward with Laverne rather than continuing to drag on what happened more than 2 years ago at the behest of a few city residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Ward.
Good evening. Thanks again, and sorry I'm going to have to run out after this. So I was going to save this for public comment, but the only reason, again, you see me here in person is because we canceled Zoom public comment. And my wife let me stay longer. I've got very few minutes left. So I'll just say this. I'm a big fan of free and fair elections, big fan of voting, vote all the time, happy. I understand how important voting is. Absolutely, I'm all for it. I think it's a good measure to hold people accountable. I think it's good to have a debate of the ideas, and may the best candidate win. Here, no one else decided to run. No, it was posted in the same way it's posted every time. There were opportunities, there were announcements. I know I heard something about it not being posted in the agenda. December 4th, it's on the last page of the agenda. It was in the city manager's newsletter. It was in the city manager's newsletter. It was posted out on the website. It was announced by one of the candidates for these elections to remind people to get their papers in and ensure that the city council or that the city would accept papers on Friday when City Hall is normally closed. There was ample opportunity. I haven't heard anyone come up here and say I wanted to run and couldn't get my paperwork done in time. I've heard a lot about district voting tonight. This isn't about district voting. I think I heard from the city attorney this happened 4 times in the last, I thought it was like 20 years, but maybe the last 9 years. It's happened in numerous other cities. This is not anything to do with district voting. It has to do with no one wanting to run. And so the decision tonight is not about district voting, and I understand there's strong feelings about that. But if anything, district voting makes it easier to run in an election like this. It makes it cheaper. It opens up. It makes it easier for somebody to run, and yet no one did. So while I think Councilmember Crosby and Lau have done a great job, I would have welcomed a challenge, have them have challengers and let people air it out and have a public debate. No one chose to do that. So what tonight's decision is about is not about the right to vote. It's not about the district voting process or the at-large mayor. It's about, do we want to save $50,000 that could go towards better city priorities than an election where your only opportunity to defeat the incumbents is a write-in campaign. And again, this is not a new thing. It's not unfathomable. It's happened 4 or 5 times in the last 20 years in the city of Verne, including in at-large elections. So I feel very passionate about voting. I know a lot of people here do, and I respect that opinion. But in this particular case, there was ample opportunity to file. No one did. It is legal. The city manager quoted in the staff report the sections of the election code that allow this to happen. It's fairly common, not only in surrounding communities, but in the city of Laverne. So I hope that you don't waste $50,000 of taxpayer money on an election when no one wanted to run. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to speak on this? Come on up. You. Then Yvonne's next. Ms. Kalusik, please come up to the mic.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Kathy Kalusek, 3rd Street. So I want to start off by thanking Wendy Lau and Rick Crosby for their willingness to continue to represent our city in this difficult, time-consuming, and often thankless position of city council member. Both have proven to be hardworking, dedicated, thoughtful, and knowledgeable, and we're fortunate to have them on the dais. I know a few people have spoken of this being an issue with district voting, but I will remind you that in the past, when we had at-large voting, For sure, there were times Don Kendrick at least once, Robin Carter, and Donna Redmond were unopposed, and they were appointed into the position. So it has happened at large. Doesn't have to do with districts. I would also make the argument that if somebody is so out of touch with what's going on in the city that they didn't know to pull papers, and this was coming because I attend all the meetings. I've missed a few because I had a death in the family, but I did watch them online. And so I knew that this was coming up and the person needed to pull papers. If somebody wasn't aware enough about that, they don't belong on the dais. Educate yourself for the next 4 years and run the next time. This is just one of those rare no-brainer situations. We have 2 open council seats. We have 2 well-qualified and willing candidates. Not having a municipal election will save our city $54,000 plus. I can think of so many better things to spend that kind of money on. We won't need to have our streets lined with campaign signs, which I hate. No need to spend time and resources on debates. No drama. Please appoint these very deserving candidates to the council for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Yvonne.
Hello, Yvonne Gallegos, College Green. So I'm just going to be just kind of informal, but nobody has come up here and said yet that they are actually, in District 2. So my district, Representative by Mr. Crosby, and I have no problem. I don't feel like my vote is being taken away from me. I know that I didn't get to vote in the last election because, again, he wasn't up for election at that time. But I'm happy with my representation. I feel like I don't need to go to the ballot box to put a stamp on that. Also, I'd like to say that my immediate family lives in District 5. So, and they're, very happy with their representation as well. So that's very convenient and relevant for me and my family. I think that's all I wanted to say, just to, put my stamp of approval and ask you to adopt this resolution as a voter from District 2 and as, family.
Your seal of approval.
That's right.
Thank you.
It's
Appreciate it.
important.
Thank you, Yvonne. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? We're going to close public comment. Oh, Mr. Rivera, come on out. Did your wife say it was okay? Mimi, is it okay? Okay, thank you. Phew. The boss said it's okay. You come on up, sir.
Hey, Mayor, City Council, residents. I'm the last person. I like what Kathy said. No drama. Just get down to the point. Our representatives, and I can speak on behalf of District 2 myself. I live at 4095 Mobile Home, Foothill Terrace Mobile Home Park over here. I am the coordinator for the Neighborhood Watch program, and I'm in charge of the emergency disaster program there, which when Tim was a council
Which is
person,
stellar.
we did a
Stellar
good job
program.
because of your support. I'm here to support Rick Crosby. Rick has been very instrumental with supporting the park. I can't speak for all the residents there. We have 370 units. However, the people that do show up for these emergency meetings, I can't say more about when Rick comes, and you yourself, Mayor, they just love you when you're there. They love the support. He's there when we ask him to be there. He's given us some tips, along with yourself, Mayor. Wendy, and I hear you're doing a great job in your district. I'll just cut through all the smoke and the drama. They have our support. So leave well enough alone. And I think you have a lot of happy campers. That's just our spin-off on it. So thank you, Council.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? We're going to close public comment. We're going to bring it up to the dais. Mayor Pro Tem Lau.
I'm going to leave this one alone and let
That's
other
why I
folks-
went to you first. Councilmember Crosby.
I only have one question, and it's to Mr. Reynolds, because the process of people have said that it's been done this way in Laverne or not. Can you give us the dates when they did not hold election because of had candidates, only one candidate was appointed?
I can do that, Mr. Crosby. In the city of Laverne, it's 1996, 2006, 2010, and 2012. The 4 surrounding cities that I mentioned were all within the last 4 years. And I checked the LA County Registrar's list today. Multiple jurisdictions have canceled elections, both school district and city, for lack of extra candidates, if you will.
I think Glendora just did too. Yeah. They had him not opposed.
So the 2000s, I'm just recent 2006, 2010, 2012. That's like 9 of the last elections. 3 of them.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Cash.
Oh yeah.
Wake him up.
Oh, here we go. Almost past my bedtime. I get tired as I get older. Listen, I think what I heard from everybody, and I really understand it, and I get it. People get emotional when it comes to voting, but the fact is, and I go by fact, I always put principles before personalities, is that we've had a lot of opportunity for people to come. I get it. People had the opportunity to come. It was there. It was advertised. I saw on social media. I even now saw on social media people saying, "Hey, apply. Let us know so we can interview you." I mean, it was just everywhere. And I remember you saying, and I remember another amazing Air Force gentleman, veteran brother of mine, came and even talked about it, that there were people there. And at the end of the day, it is what it is. So, you guys do a good job. I love what I see here. There's some debates, but that's okay. I just don't get my cookies for the next 2 years.
That's a foregone
That's
conclusion.
a foregone. Look at that. I'm waiting for that smile. I'm waiting for that frown.
He's not
upside down. There he is.
Even in his ill state, he's still got that grin on his face.
That's okay.
Ain't gonna be no cookies for Cash
for a long time. And as a combat veteran, and one that still serves, I do fight for freedom, American way of life. I put God, country, and family in that order. And it was there as an opportunity for people to put in. They didn't. It is what it is. Can we move on? That's all I got to say. And then, would that money like to be saved? Is it a good time to talk about the direction I like to put where that money can go
We'll
to?
bring that back to you if this moves
Please
forward.
do.
No. Thank you, Councilmember Cash.
Thank you.
Councilmember Johnson.
Sure, I'd like to go ahead and move forward Resolution 23-88.
Okay, let me just talk for 1 second.
Go ahead.
Did he blank me out? Did he wipe me out? First of all, was I happy with district voting? No, I voted against it. Was I happy with a non-elected mayor? No, I wasn't. But as Mr. Ivey said, move on. We are here where we're at right now. We're doing what we need to do. I'm proud of my 2 council members. That's a testament to their work they're doing in their districts. And I'm proud of our council here. We work real well as a team. And I think we've got the leadership, and I think we've got our city behind us, but we also have our residents. And the deadline was there. The deadline passed. That's it. I've run 3 elections. You sign up, you pay up, put your advertisements out, you put your signs out. If you can't make that deadline, that doesn't mean that you have a write-in vote. We're going to have an election for $54,000 for write-in votes. I'm sorry. I do not agree with that, and I think it's wrong. And I think we're not serving our community if we do that. And if you wanted to vote, there was one election where we had a write-in candidate, but it was a full election slate. And this was a number of years ago. One candidate wrote in. Mira, do you remember which one that was? Yeah, but it was one candidate that wrote in for when we had at-large elections. At the end of the day, I'm proud of my 2 council members here, Mayor Pro Tem and Mr. Crosby. I think we've done a great job. We've got new management in the team. We've got new city. We have chiefs. I just think we've done a great job. And with that, I'm going to support that we adopt this resolution also. But we have a motion on the board. Mr. Johnson, you have that motion?
Motion to adopt Resolution 2388, canceling the election and appointing Rick Crosby and Wendy Lau.
Have a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Crosby?
Yes.
Councilmember Cashel-Fagita?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau?
Yes.
Mayor Hepburn?
Absolutely, yes.
That item was approved 5-0.
Thank you all. I appreciate all the comments, and we take everything seriously here, and we do appreciate that. Now we'll move on to public comments. I have one card for Ms. Beauchamp for public comment. As stated, you can make public comment, any comments, but we cannot answer on anything that's not on the agendized. So just a forewarning, please.
Question for the city attorney, and I would put it in a formal email requesting the information at a later time, how Rick Crosby and Wendy Lau's vote should not be recused as it affects them directly within their own district. Okay. I recently heard the city manager, Ms. Barlow, as she was interviewed on KFI radio in regards to the LA County Board of Supervisors zero cash bail lawsuit. She was described by Joe Vinatieri, the mayor of Whittier, as an expert and a bulldog, as she's leading those efforts for that lawsuit. For those of you that may not be aware, she is an expert for constitutional law. But with that said, how can she clearly disregard both the state and U.S. Constitution, not only in regards to the laws for CCW, but allowing the city of Laverne in her advisory position as an attorney to be unconstitutional with the excessive fees of the CCWs, and furthermore with the requirement of a psychological evaluation. It is not only clearly stated that Americans have the right to bear arms, but is with the current landscape of our judicial system. As wonderful as our police force and department is within the city of Laverne, they can no longer protect us. And we as Americans have the right to protect our family and property. And this unconstitutional decision that was made by the council has led to another lawsuit pertaining to that exact decision. It is only that it sends the message to the residents that it is only lawsuits that can make things happen in our city. And so with your decision today to cancel the election, that a disenfranchised voter must file a lawsuit to get any results.
Thank you, Ms. Beauchamp. Anyone else on public comment? Gary, come on up.
About a month ago, I brought up to the city's manager about Chelsea Bridge over the freeway. Bushes growing over there. It never happened. And in the evening over there, it's dark on the inside of a cow. You can't see nothing. So, luck has it, the Caltrans was there today. And on another matter, and I asked him, could you go over there and trim that bush? He says, that's the city's job. And I said, I know that, but you're here now, they're not. So they did it. Half-assed job, but they did it. Could you have somebody go over there and trim all the stuff off the lights?
Yes, sir.
That's it.
He's listening right now. And you stop taking bags of poop and putting them on other people's lawns, please. Okay.
I'll quit doing that.
Please quit doing that. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Gary. Anyone else wish to speak? Public comment. Mr. Gabaldon. Come on.
Yvonne Gallegos, College Lane. I just want to say a big thank you to the mayor and to city staff and council for putting out your open letter. I had been up here previously the last month, the last two city council meetings, asking for an update, and I was very happy to see it be released and released in all forms of publications, right? Social media, on the website as well. So thank you for doing that and for the great follow-up on that. I think it's very important to have done that, to show where we stand. And I know that there might have been other influences as far as, from our Jewish community as well, to write this type of letter and stand against hate. So I do thank you for all that participated and for staff that, helped with that as well. So thanks.
Thank you, Yvonne. Anyone else on public comment? Mr. Gabaldon.
Thank you again for the opportunity to speak. Again, I want to say that I never said that Wendy and Rick did a bad job. I never said that I would not even vote for them if I live in their district. My argument against what you just voted for was that it opens the door to a lot of other bad outcomes that I think are not being addressed. So in a constructive way, I'd like to offer that the city continue to work to find a way to engage its community, and in particular within these districts that had nobody step up, how it is that you could promote the opportunity to step up with a little more notice, maybe spending a little bit of money on some flyers to let people know that there's an election coming up and that here's how you could do this if you're interested, and do all the things that a lot of people in this room that have educated the room tonight on what we've heard and not heard about inclusivity actually work towards those means. But that said, I really wanted to come up here on a very positive and thankful note in the end, and that's what I wrote. I wanted to say I'm very thankful to have been blessed with the opportunity to live in Laverne. Tonight I want to express my gratitude and appreciation for some of the things I love about Laverne. Well, I've probably eaten at every place in town and probably on more than one occasion. I especially appreciate places I enjoy the most, like Lordsburg and the entire crew there, Roberta's, House of Wings, Chase's, Don Baja Grill, Pizza and Stuff, 3rd Street Grill, In-N-Out, and La Paloma for their kitchen sink burrito, which is one of my favorite. I'd also like to thank the other small businesses I frequent in Laverne, like the Town Center Cleaners that has been doing my laundry for years, and they do a great job there. Andre at the UPS store for his service and friendship. My favorite vets and staff at the Citrus Veterinary Clinic for the great care they have given my furry family members. To Jessie and her family who operate Fit Body Boot Camp here, and who my wife enjoys very much going to join them. The team at Katie's Pet Depot, who are always friendly and helpful, and the family at Rodeo Jewelers, who have endured much in 2023, but still managed to keep a smile on their face. I'd also like to thank both our fire and police departments for their safety and emergency services they provide. And I know that Chief Nig had to leave because we've probably taken too long tonight, but I really do appreciate the professionalism that he's brought to the city and in the role that he serves. I think you guys did a great job in selecting him. I had wished that Colleen would have had the opportunity to do what Chief Nig has done, but I very much appreciate the work that Sam's done and the rest of the department and everybody that works really hard to make Laverne what I think is a great place. I'd like to thank the city staff for all that they do to keep Laverne the special city that it is. I realize that it is hard work to do something for people that aren't necessarily your neighbors, but still take pride and passion doing it. So I'm appreciative to them. I want to thank the council. Where I may not always agree with you, I appreciate your service and the commitment to do your best for Laverne, because I really think that you guys honestly do that. I'm never always going to agree with everything you do, but I generally do feel that I can see you on the street and say hi, shake your hand. I'm never going to turn away from that, because I don't think that's what we are in Laverne. And like I told Tim, I love that Christmas tree outside that window. Every time I drive through town at night and I see that tree, it reminds me of why I chose to live in Laverne a long time ago and why I choose to stay here for as long as I'm welcome. So thank you and Happy New Year and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Thank you. Anyone else to speak? We're going to close public comment. Oh, wait. Nope. We're going to close public comment. We're going to bring up the dais. Mayor Pro Tem Lau.
Sure. So thank you, first of all, for bearing with us on this last meeting of 2023. It was a long one, and I know it's the end of the year, and I know you've probably, if you're like me, may have some shopping that you still need to do and perhaps some presents still to wrap. So thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being engaged. As Mr. Gabaldon said, we don't always agree, but I appreciate the ability to have the communication and to have the dialogue. Because you never know. There may be a time where, our paths cross and intersect, and that's part of the dialogue, and that's part of why it's important to do that. Just a couple of sort of housekeeping items that I just wanted to go through. For those of you that don't know, and I know, again, Mr. Gabaldon mentioned Katie's Pet Depot,
They're under new ownership, and it's actually because their previous owner retired, so he sold to his employees, which is really awesome. So it's an employee-owned place. I love them. They took very, very good care of my girl in her last couple of years. And I'm not going to cry here because I already cried at the grand reopening with Councilmember Johnson. But if you have a chance to visit them, they're doing some really great work over there, as are many of our businesses. So I urge folks to continue to shop small, shop local, because that does make a difference in the community around us. The other thing I did want to mention, there is a meeting for Tri-City Mental Health this Wednesday at 5. Again, I encourage folks to get to know their resources that are available to them, particularly through this really amazing organization. They really are doing some great things, and I know they're partnering or will be partnering with our Veterans Post in the near future to talk about services that may be of special interest to veterans. And so for anyone who's served, you know that is not an easy task for that person or their family. So it's tools like this and resources like this that can help make our community better. So if you're interested in learning how to help some of our veterans as well, Tri-City Mental Health has a bunch of resources for a lot of demographics, but also for our veterans. Another thing that was brought up tonight was methods of engagement. How are we succession planning? I am a really big proponent of succession planning, not just here, but in my work, in my other volunteer roles. And I think it's because I'm not stupid enough to think that I'm living forever or that I want to be in this position forever. In any of my positions, at some point I'd like to, be on an island with a Mai Tai. I think all of us would. But I think, one of the books I've read, in my long history of reading, because I've loved reading since I was a kid, is a book called Greater Than Yourself. And it's really about, how do you do your best to be a work in progress in terms of being a good leader, a good servant leader? How do you do your best to serve? How do you remain open to differing views? But also, how are you preparing that pipeline for the next person that may come after you? And it doesn't mean that that person has to be a clone of you or think like you. They just have to critically think, and they just have to be willing to serve. And so I think about that all the time. And so in that vein, I've talked to other folks in other communities. How are you getting people to run or sit on councils or sit on task forces or whatever? And a lot of it is education. It is a matter of how are we getting the word out to folks? How are committees and our task forces and our groups organized? How is the word gotten out so that more people can be engaged? And how do we meet people where they are? Because I am also not naive enough to believe that this is like the 1950s where folks maybe had more time on their hands and maybe had more disposable income where they weren't working 2 jobs or working at a job very far away and could actually attend city things. How do we engage them in a way that maybe look different but still solicit their input and their feedback? And those are the things that are important to me because, again, like I said, I am not dumb enough to think that I'm going to sit here forever, whether by my own desire or someone else's design. And I think that's important for all of us to remember, that we're here for but a moment, but it is what we do in that moment that makes a difference. And so, again, to close out, I just want to say thank you for being an awesome community. I was right when I came to college here to say I want to live in this city someday and make that dream come true. And, people continue to prove it every day that I live here. So thank you. Happy holidays, whatever you celebrate, whether it's, again, getting ready for Christmas in 7 days. Oh, not ready.
You need to
But, I hope you have a good one with your family. Spend time with each other. Take time to actually practice self-care. I think we move too fast most of the time anyway. So take a long nap. It's not being lazy. It's taking care of you. So be kind to yourselves and have a good rest of the year. And I'll see you in the new year if I don't see you out and about.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Lau. Mr. Crosby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As our last meeting for 2023, I also have a lot of thank yous, especially for all of our staff and residents. Appreciate everyone coming out and making sure. And I want to highlight some of the things we accomplished this year as well. This year, we have multi-year agreements with all of our unions. Great job by our city staff making sure that happens. We have a city manager that's just completed his first year, and I think he's done a bang-up job and really has promoted his staff. We see many staff come up and speak in front of us that we've never saw before. Our directors bringing out all of their staff to help do the presentations, and that's part of that succession plan and really growing our staff. So really appreciate the leadership our city manager has done on that. And then this past, really appreciate the mayor's letter against hate. It's a time that we need that, and really appreciate the guidance you've shown us and putting that together and really putting that as a voice, not only your voice, but voice for us as well. So really do appreciate that greatly. We have holidays around. Please designate a driver for all of the festivities that you are going out and having. Make sure that we're keeping everyone safe. Let's all ring in 2024 together and be here for 2024. I know I've talked to Public Works Director Ms. McWade about B Street, and after my comments, please come up and maybe share our discussions. If you ever driven lately down B Street, you're bouncing around and maybe your car's gone unaligned just for driving down there. But I appreciate the work that you're doing on that. And I just want to say thank you and appreciate everyone here.
Thank you, Councilmember Crosby. Councilmember Cash.
You said stole my lines. Stole my lines. Well, you know, as we end this year, my esteemed colleague said, you know, we couldn't have done it all if it wasn't for our staff here in the city, for all the community members that are engaged every other week that we have basically a city council meeting, and to be able to talk about how we can make this place better. So thank you. I appreciate you. Just fast forward to what we are here today. I really want to thank the Laverne Police Department and, of course, our amazing Laverne Fire Department for their spark of love. I'd like to thank Crazy Bear Cycles for being able to, right now, still putting about a little bit more than 20 bikes together. Pomona, yeah.
Sparkle Up. What's going on tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. So we got the Sparkle Up going on tomorrow. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Once we get it, I think we already delivered some of the stuff that's there with the fire department. We're going to go out tomorrow. We're just going to go ahead and from 10 to 12 to be able to go at Hillcrest Homes, which I had a great opportunity going to Hillcrest and supporting an amazing community in Hillcrest for the installation of their board that was there a few weeks ago. The food was amazing. Great opportunity to be there with some people. And so thank you very much. And I want to thank the Plowman family as well for their generous donations toward the Sparkle Up and getting those bikes. So with that, I'd like to say as long regarding this current election with our amazing colleagues here, continuing for another 4 more years of great fun, be able to, that the money we save, if I can direct staff, if they can find a way to protect our community. I'm big on public safety, and I'm getting tired of these smash and grabs. I'm getting tired of hearing and seeing our businesses getting their windows broken into. If we can find a way to help our businesses along the Foothill Corridor, down D Street, and downtown Laverne, wherever we have our businesses that are affected by these lowlifes that are breaking into these businesses and stealing, in some cases, just a computer, when that computer could be worth a whole lot of money out there. And I understand being in law enforcement for over 24 years, what we can do to kind of help that, even if it means providing a subsidized things to protect the windows, all right, to be able to force entry to get in. If you can, let me know. The sooner the better. The money that we kind of saved from this election, I want to get it sent towards good, best we can. If we can, Madam Attorney, you can give us the guidance on that and guidance for the other staff to do that. So stay Laverne strong. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Cash. Councilmember Johnson.
Just wanted to congratulate both Rick and Wendy on an election not having to run. That doesn't happen very often. I just wanted to take this time to wish everybody a happy and safe holiday season, and enjoy family and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. All that too. We couldn't do this without our JR, without Ken, without Aaron, Andrea. We've got Deborah, our whole front staff, because what we do here takes weeks to accommodate, and we have to read, and we have to talk, and we have to discuss. So, and also for all the staff in the city, we have an amazing staff in the city. We have amazing departments that everybody's working well together, and I really appreciate that. We've come a long way in a very short period of time with collaboration and change. And I want to congratulate you two, Mayor Pro Tem Lau and Councilman Rick Crosby. Proud to serve with you guys. Very happy with the outcome, and I'm a little jealous because I've run 3 elections. I've never had one off, and I would really like that one of these days. It's a testament to your involvement with your community and districts, and I do appreciate that.
Can Ms. McWade come up and
yes, please. I also want to, before she comes up, Wreaths Across America. They laid 380 wreaths on Saturday. It was a great presentation, and Councilmember Cash was there with me. I want to thank Colleen Dragnovich with the National Society of Daughters of the American Revolution, and I want to also thank Lupe for her amazing service to our community, and we do truly love her. She's just a doll, and I wish her luck in her next chapter of life. But wait.
So Councilmember Crosby asked about B Street, and I know most of you have felt it before.
More than once.
Yes. It is funded this year, and we're in preliminary design. We anticipate having the design completed in spring and construction starting hopefully in summer. So
the residents will like it, but the Hillcresters will really like it. Yes. Thank you very much. Oh, it's terrible. I want to also, Councilmember Lau, we need to shop Laverne. We need to shop our small businesses. The lifeblood of our community is our small businesses, our restaurants, and the niche shops, the dress shops, the pet salons, you name it, the salon suppliers. We need to support them, and that's a lifeblood of our community. So please shop local. We'll be doing, I know they're running a campaign right now. I'll be doing a minute with the mayor. We must keep our dollars locally in Laverne. It's very important. And Kathy, you're nodding your head. You had local businesses for how many years in Laverne? Yes, for many, many years. So with that, a happy holiday season to everyone. A Merry Christmas to those that celebrate. Please enjoy the holidays. Most importantly, be safe. Also reach out to those people you haven't seen. It's important. COVID did make a major hit on a lot of us, a lot of our families. Enjoy those loved ones. Reach out to them. Have a meal. Have a drink. Just enjoy your time with them. And be safe. With that, our next regular Laverne City Council meeting is on Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. Gosh, 2024. 5:30 p.m. As a reminder, upcoming events and meetings are posted on the last page of the City Council agenda. I want to thank everybody for their attendance tonight. We had a great conversation, and we are adjourned at 10:03 p.m. Thank you all. Oh, yeah, Domer, he's on a ship.